Well, hello, kids, and good morning. Welcome to episode number 17 of Just a Nibble. Well, hello, Not Quite Daily Beaver, and good morning. Welcome to episode number 17 of Just a Nibble. Well, hello, Not Quite Daily Beaver, and good morning.
I don't know what's happening.
Number 17 of Just a Nibble. Well, hello, Not Quite Daily Beaver, and good morning.
I don't know what's happening.
17 of Just a Nibble. Well, hello, Not Quite Daily Beaver, and good morning.
That's very bizarre.
17 of Just a Nibble. Well, hello, Not Quite Daily Beaver. Got a little Ed Sheeran going
very
on.
Bizarre.
Just a Nibble. Well, hello, Not Quite Daily Beaver. I guess got a little Ed Sheeran going on.
Bizarre.
We should log out. Okay, that's weird. I guess got a little Ed Sheeran going on.
Bizarre.
We should log out.
Log off and on again. Oh, no, there we go.
That's weird. I got a little Ed Sheeran going on.
Bizarre.
We should log out.
Still going. Yeah, okay. You log off and on.
Oh, there we go.
I'll stay here.
That's weird.
I don't know what happened there. Some sort of glitch in the matrix, it would appear. We're off to a flying start this morning. I don't know what happened there. We got a strange sort of echoing issue with Mr. Beaver. I don't know why, because everything is checking out okay on our end here. So, well, technology can be weird sometimes. In the last couple of days, he's tried to sign on. We've had a little bit of glitch, and then we cleared it up. And this morning when he signed on, everything was perfect. There was no glitch. And then we got a weird echo. So I don't know what just happened there. 'Tis strange. 'Tis very, very strange. Sometimes things are just beyond our control when it comes to technology. And I don't know what happened. But we'll get him back in just a second. He's just going to log off and on, and I'm going to queue up some other stuff here in the background because I'm throwing for a little bit of a loop here for some reason that just sort of was very confounding and confusing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it looks like everything is now functioning correctly. So let me start off with this little chiron along the bottom for those of you who are just waking up and might not recall. Today is Remembrance Day. It is a day of solemn reverence and remembrance for those who have served and lost their lives in the service of this nation and to try and keep freedom alive. It was, well, here's a photo of my grandfather, 1918, just before he boarded the ship to come home at the end of World War I. He was 24 years old at the time, after serving 4 years in the war, at the front multiple times. And he, well, you can see he was a very strikingly handsome man. And I knew him well. He passed away in 1990. Was it 94 or 95? I can't remember exactly. I'd have to double check the dates. He was 99 years of age at the time. And he served with honor and distinction. And I'll never forget him, and I'll never forget the sacrifices he made, because believe me, his sacrifices were tremendous. He did come home, but he was never ever the same. So it looks like Mr. Beaver's computer failed him. So he's rebooted. He'll be back in just a few minutes. I apologize for that. Sometimes technology, like I said, is beyond our control. But I can sit here and chat with you lovely, beautiful people on a warm Remembrance Day. You're right, Hugh, 24 going on 80. He had the 1,000-yard stare. When he went, I saw a photograph he showed me on his 80th birthday. 80th birthday or 85th birthday? He showed me 85th? No, it was his 90th birthday, actually. He showed me a photograph of himself the day he left to go to the adventure, because that's what he was sold, that it was an adventure. As we all know, it really wasn't that at all, was it? Well, anyway, he on this adventure, he showed me a photograph of himself just before he was ready to leave to get on the train. And he had this thick, full shock of hair, like this gigantic full head of hair. And due to the trauma of living in trenches for 4 years, as you can see by this photograph, he had no more hair. It all fell out. He hadn't shaved his head. It all fell out from the trauma. He was never the same, but he never talked about the war, really. He was interviewed a few times and he had very little to say about it, but he did talk about it with both myself and my father, because my father had served with distinction in the military. He retired back in the 90s. And yeah, yeah. Here, it's anybody who's gone to combat and served, it never comes home the same. Never. It, it irrevocably changes who you are as a person. And just giving Mr. Beaver here a thumbs up to let him know we're waiting for him and that we're good. It changes who you are as a person, and you never come home the same. Some people come home broken and never recover from it. Some people come home and they're able to find their way through it and continue with their lives, but they will require therapy and medication and probably some rehabilitation for the rest of their lives. Here's Mr. Beaver. He's back again.
All right. Do I still have echo?
No, you're good. I don't know what happened there. That was very strange, sir. But
That
welcome
was,
back.
I logged off and I could
Yeah.
still hear you.
Yeah. So whatever the echo was, it was your computer was just because when I would close you, like if I do this, right? When I
Uh-huh.
close you like that, the echo disappeared. So it's like, okay, it's coming from your end, but I don't know what it is. So it was some strange feedback loop. It
Wow.
happens. But,
That's wild.
yeah, on with the show, on with the show. So why don't you start where you wanted to? Because I've been babbling here for a couple of minutes just to try and keep everybody entertained and discussing. And I did post, you didn't see this, so I'll show you this now. This is a photo of my grandfather the day he boarded the ship to come home at the end of World War One. Strikingly handsome man.
Indeed.
As a matter of fact, and this is a true story, when he used to walk down the street in when he was 20 years old in 1915, and when he came home from the war as well, the women would stop and whistle at him. You know how rare that was in those days? That was like unheard of. It just
That's very
didn't
forward.
happen. Very, very forward and almost improper, like almost you should be ashamed of yourself for doing. No, that's how strikingly good looking that man was.
There you go. Well, the genes passed on.
Thanks, eh?
All right. Let's try this. Take two. Well, hello, kids, and good morning. Welcome to episode number, I think 17 now, or 16 of Just a Nibble, the Not Quite Daily Beaver. For those moments when you still want your Beaver-Grizzly goodness, but just don't have time for a whole bite. Today, recording day is Remembrance Day, Monday, November 11th, and though
Friday.
it's starting Friday, November 11th, and though it's starting out as a beautiful day, we are expecting lots and lots of rain here at the Beaver Lodge starting this afternoon. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, A. And I ask you to pardon the fact that I am sans poppy today, but I had it last night when we went out when I went out with my Beaver sweetie to celebrate our anniversary, and for some reason came home without it.
Oh no,
Just jumped off my
that
jacket.
happens. That happens a lot.
Yeah. The one I got this year seemed to have wanted to abandon me. About 12 times I found it on the ground since since I picked it up. It just didn't want to stay with me.
I
And on
I
the
I,
day I need it most, it's not there.
I committed what they call a cardinal sin, and I took my Canadian for the one on my coat. I took my Canadian flag lapel pin
Ah,
and put
yes.
it through the middle of it because I kept poking myself and I lost it 3 times at work. And I said, look, I know I'm not supposed to do this because apparently it's in bad taste. And I'm like, why? Why is it in bad taste that I don't want to injure myself and lose my poppy? I bought a poppy. I paid $5 for it
Hmm.
because all I had was a $5 bill. I'm not asking for change. Here's a five. Give me a poppy. I have no problem with that. I can part with $5 for a poppy. It goes to the Legion, and
Right.
it's a good program, so no problem. It's like I would like to hang on to this one for $5, so I'm going to put my maple leaf pin through it. They say you're
Hmm.
not supposed to do that because it's disrespectful, and I'm like, I really, how is that disrespectful? The poppy program is a Canadian thing. I have my Canadian flag showing that I'm Canadian wearing my poppy.
Hmm.
It's like there's a rule for everything. And many of them are arbitrary and completely made up out of thin air, like is 3 months' salary enough to spend on a wedding ring? 3 months' salary? What are you talking about? That's the
Mm-hmm.
diamond industry trying to get you to part with your money. Telling
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't put a maple leaf lapel pin through your poppy is because they want you to lose the poppy and buy more. Well, I just paid $5 for one. I think that's more than enough
Mm-hmm.
for a poppy.
No,
I,
I,
I'm not,
I've
I'm
never,
not, you've never heard that before?
I've never heard that.
Yeah. I heard that last year. Somebody said, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, it's a free country. And then he looked at me and I go, they fought for my right to be able to do this. And I'm not being disrespectful. I'm wearing the poppy and I'm wearing our Canadian flag. I think I'm actually being doubly respectful, but to each their own.
To each their own. Exactly. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronounced he, him, he, Mr. Beaver, and we have a good show for you today. I'm not sure how much time we have this morning, Mr. Grizzly.
All the time in the world, my friend.
All right.
I'm working from home today.
Okay. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Lots in the headlines. We have some CUPE updates, some U.S. midterm updates, some health updates, and whatever else may come across our table today in our discussion. But before we go any further, welcome, Mr. Grizzly. How's your mental health today?
My mental health is outstanding today. I
Ooh.
woke up several times, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 5 o'clock, I'm like, I have another hour. I'm going to stay in bed till 6. Woke up at 6 and I got out of bed and I made a cup of coffee, made a pot of coffee on cup number 1. And I feel physically great today for the first time in a few days because, I've been fighting off this sinus infection. You can still hear it in my voice a little bit. It's not as prominent as it was, but it's still very much there. But yeah, mental health wise, I feel fantastic. And technically, I'm on vacation.
Woohoo!
Well, it's because the office is closed today, but because of my role, because I provide technical support and we have offices all around the world, the office in Canada and across the country is closed. So, that's technically a day off. But because of my role and because we have offices all over the world, I will be monitoring the support lines and the helplines today. So
All right.
I am technically working, but it is a day off and my vacation has begun. And Leanne has pointed out something that I was like, I guess, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. I guess I was quoted in the public
order. Emergency
order.
missionaries.
Yeah, I guess I was
Yes, Paul
quoted in
Champ.
that yesterday. Yeah, Mr. Paul Champlar, good name that guy has. Good name.
Yes. Good first and last name.
Yes, he's got a double good name. Paul, great name. Champ, hello. He
Fighting
has
for
to
the
be a
people.
lawyer, right? With a name like
Right.
that?
Yes.
A lawyer or a boxer, one or the other.
Yep. And, sometimes that's one and the same, especially if you're a litigator.
Indeed.
But yes, he was cross-examining on the stand, and in his cross-examination, talking about the citizens who were involved, and literally quoted you while he was trying to get the person on the stand to acknowledge that the mandates were mostly provincial, and him still trying to insist, well, there were some federal mandates, so. Yeah, it was
nice
legit.
try. Yeah. He's like, he was going on about, well, yeah, they were against the vaccine mandates for the January 15th vaccine mandates for truckers. I'm like, yeah, but they couldn't go into the United States. So I've had this conversation with too many people, and some of them just don't get it. We do not control our southern border. We control who comes across the southern border into our country. We can't control who crosses our southern border into another country. The United States of America is the most powerful nation on earth. They are a sovereign nation. And if they say, you need this to come in, okay, no problem. We have to abide by that, because if we don't, guess what? It ain't happening.
Yeah, they just say no. You can't come in. Um, let's see. Is there anywhere you want to start today, sir?
Well, I've got a couple people asking for video. So Leanne sent me some video, so I'm just gonna throw this up. I
All
think
right.
there's some commentary in it as well. So bear with me.
Yes, there
Hang on.
is.
There's a little bit of commentary in there, but hang on. I'll just get this video queued up, and I'm gonna put you on mute so you don't get the echo. So bear
Okay.
with me, and then I'll bring up the video.
I've testified to, there were other concerns that the protesters were trying to communicate. So there were other agendas at play.
Polly, blue jacket.
But not provincial government mandates. That wasn't what your understanding was at the time.
Learn civics.
At the very beginning, no.
Learn some civics, people. Look, he's like rubbing his head.
Very early in the protest, one very well-known Ottawa resident was trying to inform the protesters that they were protesting the wrong thing. That, quote, these mandates are provincial, not federal. The mandates, if you're mad about wearing a mask or getting a vaccine, go talk to Doug Ford. The Prime Minister has nothing to do with that. Don't you know anything about civics?
Polly!
Would you agree that if the protesters were angry about mask mandates, they should have been protesting in Queen's Park?
The provincial mask mandates were one of the issues that the protesters were angry about, but they were also angry about the federal vaccine mandate imposed on January 15 for international truckers.
Yeah. So once again, I'm on display at the Public Order Emergency Commission, but nobody's asked me to come and testify. They sure do want to use me as an example, but nobody actually wants to talk to me. Oh, I've muted you. Sorry. Let me bring you off mute. My apologies. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, indeed. You keep on popping up for some reason. And noticed a very well-known, I believe he said.
Yeah, he did. Apparently. I'm very well known. I'm famous in my own mind.
And living rent-free in the minds of many, it appears.
Many, it appears. Well, one particular, the guy who shot the video of me, he's probably watching right now. Hi, Alex. I live in your head rent-free 24/7 because you meme the shit out of me all the time. And you know what? I don't even pay attention. The only reason I know about this, because every now and then somebody will point it out. Oh, you've been memed again. I'm like, oh, good. I'm living in their head rent-free forever.
Oh, wow. I am still behind on listening to the testimony. This week has been just busy, so I didn't actually get to tune into any of Wackadoodle Week. So I really can't comment about what La Tamara and all of them said beyond what I said in the previous episode, the little snippets that I picked up.
I've been super busy with training a guy to cover for me while I'm on vacation, and trying to recover from this. Going to bed at like 7 o'clock almost every night this week. So but I feel great today, so it was all worth it.
But the little bits that I did pick up, however, there was the mayor of Windsor, Drew Dilkins, and complaining that he had received testifying that he had received personal threats, which was something I was not aware of.
No, I didn't know that.
Not aware of during the time. So that was that one kind of took me aback. Not that it's not that it surprised me, because we remain unsurprised, but still yet shocked, I guess. Right? Shocking, but not surprising that would happen. So, according to a CTV article that I have here, Windsor Mayor Joe Dilkins was the subject of an alleged assassination threat made by a voter at the polls on election day. We woke up and the police were at my house. Dilkins confirmed, oh, well, that's completely different. Wow, okay. That's for municipal elections that he was. So, yeah, I think people have kind of latched in on him. But let's talk about this. We woke up and police were at my house. Dilkins confirmed to CTV News Tuesday about the events that transpired a week earlier. And so my wife said, why are the police here? And I said, I don't know, but let me find out. The alleged threat took place at a polling station where an individual went to vote and allegedly mentioned to the election staff that if Dilkens won the election, he would assassinate the mayor, according to Dilkens. He said he was briefed on the situation Tuesday, October 25th, but wasn't aware of the threat on election day. The individual, who has not been named, was later arrested, charged, and has been released on bail with conditions and will appeal in court at a future date. Police will not confirm details of their own investigation or comment further, noting as a rule that, police just doesn't disclose the name of victims involved in any incident. But Dilkin said, this is not normal behavior, and we should never just say, well, it happens a lot and whatever, everyone will move on. We cannot normalize this type of behavior. I take my own safety very, very seriously. I take the safety of my family even more seriously, said the mayor. And we're just seeing this more and more and more. What happened to Cynthia Freeland, Christia Freeland. My God, I'm having trouble this morning. Christia Freeland out in Grand Prairie. It's...
People have been given license to feel that they can do this because the media has not pushed back the way they should have. People have not been, for want of a better term, canceled like they should have for pulling stunts like this on public people. Public people being politicians, because these are the people who are being attacked. These are people who, yes, they earn a very good living, and as well they should, but they're not multimillionaires. Well, some conservatives are, but that's a different story. We can get into that conspiracy at another day and time. But these are public people who give very much of their lives, and what many people may not be aware of. Members of Parliament, now, with the exception of the members of provincial Parliament and the Doug Ford administration, cabinet, how they tend to not work, most members of Parliament on either side of the aisle, no matter who the party represent, no matter who party you represent, they work an incredible amount of hours. I mean, the average work week for your average MP is 70 hours a week. I'm not kidding when I say that. They work 7 days a week, most times.
Right.
I have friends who are members of Parliament.
Yeah.
I've had friends who have worked as aides for members of Parliament. These folks put in the hours. You look, love them, hate them, whatever. Have your own opinion. You're certainly entitled to that. But you do need to acknowledge the amount of their lives that they give up in service of us. They are our servants, public servants. They do work for us. They are our employees. But they should not be abused like that.
Yeah.
Their abusers need to be publicly called out for pulling this because they think they have a license to do it now because they've been getting away with it for far too long. And we need to bring these people to terms. They need to be, for want of a better term, audibly flogged, okay, in the public square.
Yes.
I'm not calling for corporal punishment, audibly flogged.
Yes. And I believed that to which he was testifying because there were charges there as well. But on February 17th, I think, or 16th, there were charges laid against a 31-year-old woman from Windsor who had made a bomb threat against the mayor. So Windsor police said in a media release that the threat was posted Monday in a social thread about current COVID-19 restrictions. Investigators believe the threats are directly related to ongoing pandemic measures. The incident came after the Ambassador Bridge, which connects Windsor and Detroit, had been the scene of an anti-vaccine mandate protest. Protesters blocked access to the bridge for 6 days during that week. The Vital Trade Week link was reopened to traffic on a Sunday after a court injunction was obtained and police worked to enforce the injunction. So this is a February 17th article. So that's probably that to which he was testifying. So, bomb threat and threat on election day, this is just ridiculous.
Bizarre.
It is very bizarre. During his testimony, the mayor said that his insight into what the police action might have been was that because there were children there, the police were probably more cautious. He said it was disheartening to see the parents bring children to the Freedom Convoy protests on Huron Church Road after police had begun to advance and regain territory. And if you remember, there were images of children locking hands across the lanes, sort of like human chain, right? Of children.
Yes.
So that tells you a bit about who we're dealing with here. I think someone in the police structure, probably several people, said the most sensible thing here is to wait because at some point these kids are going to get cold. It's February, Dilkins told the commission. They're going to get tired, they're going to get hungry, they're going to leave. So we're not going to move forward with the policing posture they had in place when they had a lot of young kids there. But clearly they underestimated the will to put children in harm's way. And then during his 4-hour testimony, Dilkins called the Emergencies Act extremely helpful in protecting the Ambassador Bridge, North America's busiest international crossing. So while everybody's saying, oh, well, the bridge was dismantled, before the Emergencies Act. Well, if we go through the timeline, on February 10th, that's when the Prime Minister announced the incident response group would get together to start discussing this. On the 11th is when Doug Ford declared the state of emergency for Ontario. The incident response group was meeting daily at that point on the 11th and on the 12th. Somewhere around there, talk of the Emergencies Act to be invoked was being talked about in public because there were articles in the outside published on the 13th, whatnot, saying that, they were talking about this. And I'm sure there was talk about that before in the public sphere. And the Prime Minister met with Cabinet, I believe, on the 13th to discuss how it was, and then had a phone conference with all the premiers on the morning of the 14th before it was invoked. The dismantling of the Ambassador Bridge happened on the 13th itself. And then Coutts, Alberta, was dismantled on the 14th, probably just after or before the invocation, but once it became public that they had found weapons there.
That's right.
So while everybody's saying, it wasn't needed, the fact that it was officially declared potentially a day or 24 hours or within 24 hours of these two ones dismantling doesn't mean that it had no effect. Because when you know something's coming, when it's being telegraphed, you also you don't wait until the train's upon you before you decide you're going to get off the train tracks, right? You see the train coming and you get off the train tracks.
Yeah, one would do that. I would think, hey, look, here comes the train.
It hasn't hit me yet, so.
Hey, I guess it hasn't hit me yet. Is that what Blue Rodeo was singing about?
Yes.
Fell through this crack and I kind of lost my head.
So, yeah.
There's a new meaning to that song now. We just created that right here. We just memed Blue Rodeo inadvertently.
So, and then we had the mayor of Coutts, Alberta. Can't remember his first name off the top of my head, but Willard is his last name. And he said about the protesters, protesters that were there, they didn't take into consideration the fact that, yes, it made a big splash, but they were hurting the very people that they figured they were helping by getting the mandates off. And we've talked about this often in our show, right? It's like, yeah, you're for them, but if you block food, medicine, parts so that people can't go to work, whatnot, like, who are you helping?
Precisely.
Right. And when you stand there with your foot on my throat and say, you're not going to go through here anymore. And what you're doing is you're actually choking the livelihoods of all of your friends and your neighbors. So there you go. And he referred to them as domestic terrorists on the stand under oath. And they asked why that term. And he said, well, listen, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but, I went on the internet and I looked up the definition of domestic terrorists and it seemed to fit. So,
I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on television.
I mean, but, Now,
Yeah.
he said it was his opinion that the Emergency Act was not. No, that was not him. Sorry, that was another person. And then we had two senior Ontario officials testify this week. These are the people that Doug Ford and Sylvia Jones have sent in their stead because they won't come. And a judge, the case did go and was ruled by the verdict was given in by the judge that in fact, yes, they do have privileges and they don't have to come, which we assumed would be the case because that is the law and the judge rules on the law. But how would I put it? The judge was less than impressed.
Mm.
He made in his decision, he kind of made a comment, uh, pretty much saying that, it's probably would be a good idea for him to go and testify. And, were it not for the fact, that there was this privilege, um, he probably would have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of made it clear what we've been saying all along that, it is your public duty to attend. And yeah, he's still not going to go. So basically, he says legally he has his privileges, and that was never really in doubt, but it's his public duty to show up. It's Justice Simon Fothergill said, I am satisfied that the commissioner had jurisdiction to issue the summonses. The matters in respect of which the Premier and Minister have been called to testify are within the scope of the Commission's mandate, and it appears that both witnesses may have valuable evidence to offer. Lawyer Bijan Roy, who's with, I believe, Paul Champ's firm, said the Premier has never properly explained to Ottawa why he could not act sooner or what steps he was considering to help. The court's decision places it squarely in the hands of Premier Ford and Minister Jones as to whether or not they will show the Commission and the people of Ottawa the courtesy and respect of coming to our city and explaining their role in the troubling events of February 2022. So he's probably not going to come because he's basically doing the David. You remember David Dingwall when he said, I'm entitled to my entitlements when he was the director
Yes.
of the Mint?
Yes.
Well, this is pretty much, I have the privilege of my privileges. It's pretty much what he's saying. So there's an expression that happens when we talk about law that's called lawful but awful. So what he's doing is legal, and there was never any doubt about that, but it's awful. And it's like pretty much the same thing with the CUPE strike, right? Yeah, I guess it's legal for him to invoke the notwithstanding clause because it exists, and it's lawful, but it's awful.
Yeah.
Right. So he sent Ian Freeman, who's with the Ministry of Transport, and he basically testified that while there were tools that could be used, such as to act on licensing, registration, insurance, and do that through legislation, apparently that takes so much time to do, it really wasn't a short-term option. So what people are saying, we had all these tools, that were unused. Well, some of them could not be deployed quickly enough to matter.
Well, clearly, because the OPP had a plan and nobody did anything.
Right. And then the second person they sent was Deputy Solicitor General. So this would be the person that would have been working under Sylvia Jones at the time, because at the time she was the alleged Solicitor General. Now she's the alleged Minister of Health. She's been MIA in both portfolios. Mario Di Tommaso. And he testified that they were going into the first weekend with absolutely no concern because the Ottawa Police Service was a premier police service. And they were told that trucks were not going to be allowed downtown and that protesters would be bussed in. So somewhere along the way, that plan changed. In his witness statement to the commission, he characterized what happened in Ottawa as an inconvenience and not a public safety threat.
Uh-huh.
Defending.
How would you like to live through that inconvenience for 3 weeks straight?
Yes. defending Deadbeat Doug here in there, being a good puppy, getting his kibbles and bits, and that Windsor was the greater economic threat and public safety threat in his opinion. So, of course, they're talking about the economic threat here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Money before people, again. And I don't know how it was the bigger public safety threat, but okay, we'll figure out. In his opinion, the Emergencies Act was not needed, but was helpful, which seems to be a familiar refrain. Everybody that's saying that it wasn't needed is saying, well, except for the convoyers, of course, are saying that it was helpful, that it was coming, that was in place, it was helpful. Well, it seems that if it was helpful, probably was needed.
One would think, right?
One would think, yes. Now, the context of the time, we must remember, is that in the United States, when he's talking about the economic threat, that's around the time that President Joe Biden was on his Buy America kick, particularly with the zero-emission vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
which we had to fight, which we did successfully fight. And then, in his opinion, at least the opinion of the mayor of Coutts, he said that the Emergency Act didn't end Coutts, but it was the discovery of the weapons, in his opinion, that did that. And I mean, it's hard to parse things, but yes, I can imagine that if you're there protesting and it gets announced that there are people in your protest that are there with a cache of weapons and that have been arrested for a conspiracy to murder RCMP officers, you might want to leave so as to not get some of that taint on you. Something the people in Ottawa did not do once the Nazi flags and the Confederate flags showed up.
Yeah.
So the people in Coutts knew better than to leave when the terrorists actually did show up. Well, knew to leave, I should say, whereas the people in Ottawa did not know better than to leave after the Nazi and Confederate flags showed up. So there. A lot of some of the testimony in Ottawa about some of the wackadoodles also involved putting back on their faces, the fact that they have made racist and homophobic and all other types of statements before. I'm not sure what value it is to the commission itself in terms of determining whether or not the act was required and how it can be, if there was anything we did wrong in invoking it and in applying it, and if there's anything we can do better. But Paul Champ, once again, at one point intervened and was invited to do a little cross-examination. I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Barber or not Barber or Mackenzie. Can't remember which one it was,
Not sure.
but someone who was basically saying that it was all peace and love, all peace and love, peace and love, and basically pointed out that he referred to the Prime Minister often as Justine.
Yes, and then he wept on the stand because there was a movement. He had a bowel movement or something. Oh no, I can't. No. But he called. He was trying to demasculinize, take away, emasculate. What? I'm not sure. Emasculate Justin Trudeau because he wanted to call him Justine and make fun of him because he didn't think he was an alpha male, manly enough. I'm like, step in the ring with him. I dare you.
Mm-hmm.
I dare you.
So, but
Senator Patrick Brazo would tell you, do not underestimate this man. You do so at your own peril.
Mm-hmm. But the point here was to make it clear that, yeah, it was peace and love for all of you who were there together.
Yes.
But that peace and love did not extend
to the residents.
To anybody. Yeah, to the residents or anybody who didn't support you. Right. So, like I said, I don't know what value that has to this in particular, but it was an interesting moment. And yes, we did see a lot of these alpha male having this let me cry now moment. All of them seem to be particularly choreographed and scripted. which was kind of interesting. And I don't know, man. I really, to be totally honest, other than um, exposing, making it clear that there was disorganization among them all, and therefore, all those claims that if he had just talked to us, um, it could have been resolved. Well, to whom would he have talked, and would have you listened to each other if one of you said, "Okay, we've got a deal"?
Well, and let's not forget, do you really want to have a discussion with people that are, coming up with nooses and proclaiming to you with giant flags on how much they want to have relations with you and that they want to remove you from the position you were duly elected into and form their own? Do you really want to talk to people like that? Because I sure as shit wouldn't.
Yeah, especially after the friendly sausage maker, which I believe was a Yellow Vesters protest at that point. And then apparently, the mayor of Windsor getting a bomb threat, and then people protesting in front of the Minister of Health of Nova Scotia's house, which was
Just
Jeremy
one
McKenzie was
example
one
of
of them.
deplorables.
Yeah, Jeremy
Deplorable. Like, really,
Yeah, Jeremy McKenzie was one of them.
Yeah.
Right. And, I'm sure that the prime minister must have been kept abreast that there was some type of investigation going on into potential terrorism at Coutts. It's just was, I don't think that they discovered it on the 13th and made the arrests on the 14th. I'm pretty sure that they probably got some ear to the ground before that.
Oh, no doubt.
Making the arrests. So it's even more of it seems it was a mess for everyone. The police were a mess, the organizers were a mess, the protesters were a mess. It was just all a mess. So what resolution was there going to be to any of this, really? Because nobody could communicate. There were too many egos in the way. People did not want to collaborate. People didn't there was no apparently federal intelligence that was coming down to the local police officers, or national intelligence, not federal, I should say. Um, you know, uh, there's even a transcript of a conversation between Premier Doug Ford and Prime Minister Trudeau going around. And let's not forget that also around the time that the EA was being invoked, that there were these types of border protests popping up in different places. There was some in Manitoba, and then there was one on the Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia. Yeah, like I said, in Manitoba, the provincial trunk highway 75 in Winnipeg. So, and then another protest taking place at the Peace Bridge border crossing at Fort Erie. So these things were also starting to multiply around that time.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on, and it just seemed to be a hot mess pretty much everywhere. Because in Coutts, remember, there was also an operation to try and dismantle the blockades using, the RCMP, whatever resources they had, about 13 cars or whatnot, and somebody rammed a car.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they tried to get to tow trucks in Alberta, and they couldn't because apparently, and this is a piece of information that I had not heard either, some of the people who were operating the tow trucks companies were being paid, allegedly,
to stay away.
Yeah,
I heard that.
I wonder from which funds of money, which pools of money those contributions came from. It's probably another thing to be looked into. It's probably being included within that RCMP investigation as to what was going on there. But you have to wonder who was financing that, who was bankrolling that. We know that Joseph Bourgault, who was a candidate for the Conservative leadership, was financing the purchase of hotel room stays for the organizers of the convoy. And that's probably going to be looked into at some point, I would hope.
Absolutely.
But which pool of money was the money used to pay tow truck operators to not intervene coming from?
Well, and I know that some tow truck operators were threatened that if they did their job,
Yes.
they would suffer the consequences. I'm like, hello? You can't do that. Threaten people's lives because they're told to do a job that the government is asking them to do to protect.
Yeah.
This group is just.
It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. And also on the morning of the 14th, that's when Ontario Superior Court issued an injunction that was sought by the City of Ottawa. So the injunction that we were talking about, why it didn't come by earlier, because there wasn't enough resources on the ground to be able to operationalize it. Well, by the morning of the 15th, finally there was enough, and then the injunction was granted. So, I mean, you have class action suits from the people, you have court injunctions, you have declarations of states of emergency,
Yeah.
A plot unveiled to the public about a plot to murder RCMP officials, stashes of weapons found. And in all of this, you have other things happening that we thought at the time were related, like the people who tried to commit arson, set a building on fire in Ottawa. Turns out that they were not. Yeah, turns out that they were not related to the protest. But at that time, you don't know, and you don't have enough police on the ground to be able to do proper investigations because, well, they're all being diverted somewhere else.
Exactly.
But that happened, let's remind you, like a day or two after people in Ottawa in their buildings found that their doors of their buildings had been sealed shut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, doors of buildings are being sealed shut to trap you in, and then a couple of days later, somebody tries to set a building on fire. I think it's a rather natural instinct to think, oh my God, are they sealing the doors shut so that people can't get out when they try to set the buildings on fire? That's putting two and two. And then remember, there was a stash of guns near Peterborough that had gotten stolen.
4,000 guns, if memory serves.
Yeah. And everybody thought, what if that? Now, again, turns out that was not related as well. But again, at the time, until you find them and find the people that are involved and start questioning, you don't know that. You have to act as if it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't take the chance that it's not. So, fortunately, it was not. But, right?
Yeah.
So it was a mess. It was a mess. And remember, all of this stuff is happening in real time. Right? While people are yelling at each other, people are not getting enough sleep, tensions are high. You're getting yelled at by the public. You're getting yelled at by other levels of government. You're yelling,
Exactly. It was a perfect storm of what we would call in operational linguistics from a project management standpoint, a shitstorm, an absolute shitstorm, because nobody knew what was fully going on. Nobody knew who was in charge of the Convoy. The occupiers were fighting amongst themselves every minute of the day, it would seem. So, we've certainly learned that via the POEC. So, when they sealed the doors and tried to set the building on fire, we certainly did have reason to believe that it was members of the convoy, because the people who live in that building had been shouting at the members of the convoy to stop blaring their horns, because they were doing it literally on their doorstep. So, suddenly the doors get sealed and the fire gets lit. 1 and 1 equals 2, usually. Turns out these people were not officially members of the convoy, but again, who really was? It was a truckers' convoy, but most of the people that were there were not truckers. They were just hangers-on. And as we've all come to know and learn that, well, we weren't part of the Nazi thing, but okay, well, you kick those people out. Because if you stay, you're at a Nazi rally, right? If a Nazi shows up and you do not remove the Nazi, you are now having a Nazi rally.
Yep.
So, maybe they weren't officially members of the convoy, but they took advantage of the occupation to do exactly what they wanted to.
Right.
So who's to blame in that instance? The police, they said, well, crime was at an all-time low. No, That's not the case at all. It was actually at an all-time high, but this police were spread so thin, they couldn't tend to any area of the center town. Like
Well, not
literally, the police chief slowly said, "We will begin regular police operations as of 2 p.m. on Tuesday in Centertown." It's like, what? He just announced it's a free-for-all. It's the purge. Police aren't doing anything in Centertown. And that went on for a few days
right.
because they were trying to take care of other parts of the city. You got to remember, Ottawa, geographically, is one of the largest cities on earth, geographically.
The second largest in North America,
Right.
geographically.
And
Slowly testify to that.
And the urban boundaries are about to be expanded. Now, there's 1 million people in Ottawa, 480,000 in Gatineau, so it's 1.48 million, right, in Ottawa, Gatineau. And it is the national capital because it's just a river separates us.
Right.
And it's growing. It's growing. Again, they're about to expand the boundaries. It will be the largest city in North America after the urban expansion. So when you have a police force that has to spread themselves ultra thin and cannot concentrate on the area of Centertown where I live, work, and play, they basically had a purge free-for-all for a few days.
Right. It's just, man. It's just crazy. So getting to the thing I was mentioning, there was a transcript of a conversation between Premier Doug Ford and the Prime Minister, which I believe happened on the 10th of February. So that was the day before Doug Ford made his declaration of a state of emergency with the province of Ontario, and the day that the Prime Minister got the incident response group part of a cabinet together. And I'm going to put it up, but I'm not sure it's going to be clear enough for people to see, but hopefully it is. There you go, Mr. Grizzly.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I can't read that at all.
Yeah, exactly. Now in it, excuse me, I'm just gonna move closer.
I'll pull it down
here.
so you can. I'll pull it down so you can read it. Oh, maybe I blow it up a bit. Is it still?
Blow it up a bit.
It's still too blurry. Yeah,
it's still too blurry for people to read. Okay,
so I'll let you just narrate.
All right. So what Doug Ford is saying, what we can recommend and what we can work together on is that I've asked our AG, Attorney General, to look at legal ways to give police more tools and exhaust legal remedies because the police are a little shy and I can't direct them. So that's one area we can focus on. We can take their polar licenses. We've checked that. We can shut down their fuel consumption and cordon off highways. That's where we're at. Prime Minister, first of all, they're not a legal protest. They're occupying a municipal street and are not legally parked. You shouldn't need more tools, legal tools. They are barricading the Ontario economy and doing millions of damage a day and harming people's lives. At a time we're trying to draw in investments, a whole bunch of people are looking at this and saying, we can't even clear up a protest on a bridge. I always wonder if they are not very smart people trying to think about shaming Canada in all sorts of ways and hurting the economy and getting jobs back to the US. We've got to respond quickly to this. So, you have people like Andrea Lee and Brian Lilley and all the usual suspects on a coordinated campaign saying, Prime Minister said more measures were not needed. The police didn't need. No, you shouldn't need more tools, is what he said, in response to being told by the Premier that the police are a little shy and therefore he's invoking a state of emergency to give them more legal tools. And the Prime Minister's right. They shouldn't have needed more tools. All the laws were there to be able to dismantle this effectively, but the police were a little shy to use them. And our national political party was not, one of the national political parties, the Conservative one, the Convoy Party of Canada, was not locking arms and standing shoulder to shoulder with the rest of Canada. They were encouraging that to continue so that the Prime Minister could wear that. And again, I'm still maintaining my theory is, until somebody proves me wrong, that one of the reasons for which Doug Ford and Sylvia Jones really don't want to come testify is that they don't want these types of emails and communications, phone calls and whatnot between them and the federal Conservative Party leadership and brain trust coming to light.
Mm-hmm. Brain trust.
I'm just, well, if Doug
Brain
Ford
trust.
is acting, yeah, brain trust. If Doug Ford is acting on the Windsor Bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, and is not acting on Ottawa, and both are within his jurisdiction, one has to wonder why he's acting on one and not on the other. Why is Ottawa Ottawa's problem?
I've said it time and time again. Okay, number one, Doug doesn't know that Ottawa is part of Ontario because he clearly stated that when the Prime Minister showed up. And he says, "I'd like to welcome you to Toronto, to Queen's Park, Ontario."
Yeah.
He lives in Ontario. He was born in Ottawa, but Doug doesn't know that. Number one. Number two, even if Doug was aware that Ottawa is part of Ontario, he doesn't give a damn about Centretown because Centretown is traditionally a provincial NDP or Liberal riding. It flip-flops. And federally, it's a NDP or Liberal riding. It flip-flops. It never votes Conservative. And the majority of the citizens of Centretown are working class and poor. We do not donate to his party or his cause or support him. So he would not support us. He would let us wither and die. He doesn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's also very convenient if the National Party is saying don't do anything and let the Prime Minister wear this, and you're the provincial premier of jurisdiction and you choose to do nothing.
Exactly.
Which allows the premier to. So, but in their one-on-one conversations, however, right, when they're talking about this, after the Prime Minister says that, Doug Ford, I'm just as frustrated as you, and if I could direct the police, I would. But he didn't.
He didn't
do anything.
He did nothing.
Anything. He hadn't done anything from now until that's on February 10th, right? Things had started around January 25th, 23rd.
Something like that. Yeah.
He hadn't really done anything. He hadn't even showed up to tripartite meetings because they were, quote, a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah. A waste of time.
So he's doing that thing that whoever he talks to goes, oh, yeah, I share your frustration. My heart bleeds for you, like this, but doesn't ultimately, I won't hesitate, to take action. And then he goes back home and does just that, hesitates to take action.
Yeah. Pull this leg and it plays Jingle Bells.
Yeah. And then, so Prime Minister says, does the mayor have to direct the local police? Doug Ford says local police have to direct the OPP, and then the OPP come up with their plan. I understand they are working with the RCMP and we may need their help. The other problem is that no tow truck wants to tow the trucks on the bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
What does that tell you?
So now he's, talking to the, about the Windsor Bridge stuff, because that hadn't been dismantled at that time. But throughout this entire conversation, right, it's like Doug Ford's going, that would be great. I agree. Things like that to everything that the Prime Minister is saying. The Prime Minister in this conversation looks really good.
Oh, yeah.
He's cool. He's calm. He's collected. He appears to know the order of things, which things the process that things must go through. He's willing to give time willing to give time to respect that. He's willing to actually give resources as well. So he goes, so we'll give you whatever resources you need. The police of jurisdiction needs to do their job. If they're saying they can't do it because they don't have enough officers or equipment, we need to remove that excuse as soon as possible so they can do their work and we can prevent Ontario becoming a laughingstock. This is the Prime Minister saying that. And then Doug Ford says, I agree. The problem is, if I can be frank, I've spoken to senior police officers. He's lost command and police officers are going off sick daily. They've lost command. And the Prime Minister said, those are your decisions, not mine.
Uh-huh.
There are police departments that know how to handle this, like Quebec and Toronto. So let's make sure the other police departments know how to respond. We can't continue to get outflanked. And of course, the police responded very well when there were protests at the Assemblée Nationale in Quebec and at Queen's Park in Toronto. So they knew how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
They just didn't do it in Ottawa. And then Doug Ford, 100% will keep you updated by tomorrow. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Reach out to me and reach out to Dominique Leblanc, if you need anything. Prime Minister Doug Ford. Thanks so much, Prime Minister.
Doug is also under the impression, as many people are across this country, and most people, it would seem, from out west, that everybody that lives in Ottawa is entitled government employee, upper middle class. There are 1.48 million people in Ottawa-Gatineau. 134,000 of them work for the federal government. That's it. That's it. Out of 1.48 million, 134,000 are federal government employees. The rest of us are private sector. So, again, this false dichotomy of me being the entitled, spoiled, white, well, I am white, upper middle class, living in $1 million condo, soy boy, cuck vegan, soft, blah, blah, blah. Go on, pick one of them, the snowflake, all of them, is just complete bullshit. I worked construction for 29 years. I'm working class. I live hand to mouth from paycheck to paycheck. I can never retire. I'm in a rent-controlled apartment. All these things they think I am the exact opposite. I'm allergic to soy. I'm allergic to cannabis, too. I cannot eat a vegan diet, for I would die. My diet is mostly meat. I'm allergic to most fruits and vegetables. Give me a ribeye rare, blue rare, with a whiskey and a Guinness, and I'm happy. But no, according to everybody else, I'm all of the things that I am not. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm living in their head.
You're all of the things that they need you to be.
That's exactly what it is.
In order for what they say to hold true.
But that's fine. Let them think that. I don't care, because, again, I live in their head rent-free. Rent-free, baby.
Now, in another little thing that you might find interesting, Mr. Grizzly, if you will.
Sure thing. Let's just pop this right up right here.
You know how we say that juxtaposition can sometimes be brutal and reveals a lot? On the CBC website, there were 2 articles, one on top of another. Article 1. 9 months later, convoy organizers express little sympathy for downtown dwellers. Right underneath it, no tolerance for disruption, Lecce says, as fight against education workers walkout continues.
Well, isn't that peculiar? Isn't that peculiar?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a little convenient, right?
Convenient? How convenient?
Oh, man. So let's talk about that, shall we?
Oh, indeed we shall.
Yes. So there were developments that happened rather fast and furious. This is the other one, actually, that you might want to put up. It was another moment of juxtaposition that happened yesterday. And it's regarding our favorite dinosaur, T-Rex Murphy, who published National Post opinion, said Freedom Convoy was perfectly Canadian in its moderation. But let's look what happened when it was the Indigenous people protesting. Then that was, Natives need to tone down the anger. There's not a single serious citizen of this country who does not ardently wish for a better life for all Natives.
Rex.
Article 1, January 12th, 2023. Natives need to tone down their anger. 2013, sorry. Like this. And then 2022, Rex Murphy, Freedom Convoy was perfectly Canadian in its moderation.
Rex can... You know what got me banned for Twitter? You know what got me banned from Twitter for a week? Rex can do that.
It's like, Rex, your racist slip is showing.
As Chris Rock would say, it's all right if it's all white.
All white. Doug Ford held a press conference one morning after the weekend, after it became very clear that Ontarians were sending him back to the negotiating table after an Abacus poll revealed that 62% of Ontarians blamed him for the CUPE strike, and 71% said that he should probably negotiate. So then he said he would negotiate, but while he was doing that, I mean, he did that thing where he's like reading off the teleprompter and he looks completely defeated and like deer looking in headlights.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
The body language was so bad.
I stand before you a defeated man. Is how he should have started.
Really. And I mean, and he was, reports, the word on the tweet from the, the galleries and everything was that he was furious that people, there's the look.
Oh, you got it? Well, I haven't. You're going to have to share it with me.
Yesterday, we extended an olive.
You didn't share it. I don't see anything. There you go. Okay, now I can pull it up. Just a sec, folks.
Including notwithstanding clause.
There's the look.
Agreed to end their strikes.
The deer in the headlights.
I'm so relieved that CUPE accepted our offer.
I'm so relieved.
They show the same willingness to compromise. Because today, kids are back in class, exactly where they belong.
Oh, come off it. There's that face.
Come on, Doug.
Come on, dude. Like, I am so relieved. There's nothing in this face that indicates relief there. What he's relief is that they took the boot off his neck because
that's all it is. That's his only relief.
Big trouble. But it was his own doing. He's the one that grabbed their boot and put it on his neck. I mean, he said, "Don't force my hand." And then realized something on top of it. You know what? The "don't force my hand" crap, that's a two-way street, honey.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
It goes both ways, right? So I mean, I would have loved like somebody from the CUPE, or like, when they had all that press conference going on, like sometimes they play music when people come on. It would have been great to have Taylor Swift's "Look What You Made Me Do" at that moment.
His whole "don't force my hand" kind of sounds like this: "Don't force my hand." Yep. Don't force my hand, right?
Yeah.
This is what was it? This is discipline and this is abuse, right?
Yeah. It was like that Eddie Murphy skit. Like, no, when she's talking about like, the one time he spanked his girlfriend and then she got all cool. He got cool on her and then she got all cool on him.
He's like,
"No, baby, don't make me do. You made me do that. Don't make me do that again." Yes, I did make you do that.
I did make you do that.
Why don't you just go to sleep?
Oh, shit. You're like, now sleep with one eye open, clutching my pillow tight.
Have you ever seen the movie The Burning Bed?
That was Farrah Fawcett, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. That was a good movie.
Yes, that was a very good movie.
Not to mention the fact that it was a television film that was very incredibly controversial for its day.
Yes.
Because it was one of the first to graphically depict spousal abuse and the repercussions thereof when a woman decides to take charge of her life and fight back.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time. It's over 35 years ago.
It must be.
Mid-80s, I think. 83 or 85, I can't recall. It's been a long time, but it was a great film. And
it was a great movie. And it was,
if you can find it, 82?
1984.
Oh, 84. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, if you can find it online, seek it out and give it a watch. It's a difficult watch, but it's worth your time. It really is. Did she get an Emmy for that?
That's exactly what I was looking at, because I'm pretty sure.
I think she was nominated for it. I can't remember if she won or not, but yeah, that was
outstanding. Of course, it's only given me half the stuff.
Of course, yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah. So I can't.
Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
But yeah, probably Emmy Award for outstanding. I'm guessing she probably did win stuff for that. Anyway, I'll keep looking it up while we're
chatting away here. Dean just released he calls it a bedhead presser here. I'm just looking it up on the Twitter right now about masks, because I believe we're going to go back to masking starting next week, apparently.
Yes.
I can pull this up if you want.
I don't remember. I was going somewhere.
No, that's okay.
Let's save that.
Okay.
I believe we're talking about the CUPE stuff. And I don't want to get
You don't want to get too sidetracked.
Yeah.
I can do that. I'm pretty good at sidetracking people. Huh? It's never intentional. It's just my squirrel brain wanders, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking that probably just an Emmy Award nomination, but she did get the no, I don't think she won any for that. Amazingly enough,
she was nominated though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just looking. Yeah.
It was a few weeks
outside
back.
lead actress in a limited series or special, Farrah Fawcett nomination, but no win. So anyway, back to the CUPE stuff. But during that press conference, the thing that struck with me was that the entire time he was doing that, he was basically setting the table or trying to what we call in PR preemptive framing. So presenting the subject in the terms that he wants it discussed, right? So he's trying to define the situation so that the journalists talk about it in that term. So, and in that, he was saying stuff like, because there's 194 school days per year, so about 131 weekdays of the year are not school days. He was referring to those as they get 131 paid sick days per year. No, they don't get 131 paid 6 days a year. The workers for certain, like this, and they have to make that salary last their whole year, right? when school's not in session. He also claimed that Lecce did a stellar job. What exactly? I don't know. I mean, when you make an action like that and it blows up in your face, usually you get fired or asked to resign.
Usually.
Yes. Then kept on saying that CUPE walked away from the table when it was actually the mediator at the time that called off the talks because they were so far apart. So, I mean, why it is that he's basically lying about the interlocutor who he's asking to come back to the table. I'm not sure how that sets things up very well to have a negotiation after. He was asked.
Sorry, I'm just looking at all the Twitter bots. I'm just following CUPE on Explore and the latest, and there's a ton of bots coming up, like 0 followers, name, no photo, bunch of numbers, and they're all, unions are corrupt, unions rob, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, we'll get
just
to that
block
too.
them.
And he was asked right away, like, why is he saying that, that CUPE walked away from the table when that wasn't the case? And, he had nothing really to say, no defense. And he was asked about what was so different about him that he's been the only premier who's needed to resort to invoking the notwithstanding clause 3 times. And then he brushed it off and started telling a story about his tie. So that was on the second day when he came back the second day to do that press conference. Well,
this is a brilliant comment by Linda. So what? They should plan to get sick when school is out? That's how it works, right?
Right. How would he put it? So then things started to get a little dicey because at every press opportunity, he kept on repeating those lies over and over again and just try to frame them. And, he was also saying that he could not, because last week was a constituency week, that he could not do anything to actually follow his promise to repeal Bill 28 at that time. That seemed rather convenient because, you were able to get up and get everybody in work at 5 o'clock in the morning in order to get that passed, but you're not willing to call back the legislature to get people in that you'll take your time for.
That's inconvenient to him.
That's inconvenient to him. So CUPE has been being very, very, very understanding, it seems, that MPPs are elsewhere that week. But he kept on going out and mentioning these lies. So what kind of happened at that point is that the members of the union started to get a little pissed off that this was going on. And CUPE put out this little, well, anyway, this missive, if you would, Mr. Grizzly.
Sure thing. Here we go.
Richard Southern from City News reported on Twitter, new, CUPE says it will be limiting our comments to the media while in mediation. We respectfully call on the Ford government to make the same commitment. Refrain from making comments that distract from negotiations and spend time working to get a deal done.
Uh-huh.
You can be doing PR or you can be negotiating. Don't do both, honey.
It's one or t'other.
Yeah. And then he got to the point where he was saying that basically, like, what was worse than him invoking a strike was worse than him invoking the notwithstanding clause. And it's like, I'm sorry, there's never a reality in which a legitimate labor strike, which it was legitimate until he decided to make it not so, I guess, is worse than actually abusing of your power to trample all over rights to break people. So lots of preemptive framing going on. And then this happened. OSBCU stated, we are at the table and we are focused on a deal that works for workers, students, families. Kids are in class. Don't take advantage of our good nature. We need Bill 28 repealed and a good deal that pulls us out of low income and provides real services for kids. Why the delay? Right? Because Doug Ford said, well, you have to put a little water in your wine, like I did. Right. I decided to come back to the table. I decided to step back. I decided, from the ledge that I put myself on with no gun to my head, I decided to step back. Ain't I a magnanimous premier like this? So, I put a little water in my wine. No, they don't have no need to put any water in their wine. They've got you where they need you. They've got your boot on their throat, and you should be thanking them that they're not stepping on your jugular.
Yeah.
They're being nicer to you than you are being to them. So don't take advantage of our good nature, which led to this.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Let me pull it up again.
November 9th, 2022, Education Workers Together. Many of you have inquired about the Ontario Labour Relations Board proceedings that occurred last weekend because Doug Ford and Lecce appealed to the Ontario Labour Relations Board to have them rule that the strike was declared illegal, that it was an illegal strike. And that brings us back to what we were saying at the beginning about lawful but awful, about him not wanting to testify because he has privileges. And the judge said, yes, you do have those privileges, so you don't have to testify, but really you should. Like, girl, really, you should? Well, this was the same thing that was going to happen. He was going to go to the Ontario Labour Relations Board, and they would have had no choice, of course, but to rule that the strike was illegal because he had made it illegal by invoking the notwithstanding clause. So, I mean, on a matter of law, he would have been deemed right, and then he would have pointed to that and said, see, it's an illegal strike, and then he would have fundraised off to that and did more preemptive framing, right, and selective truth-telling. We have received confirmation today that the United Strike application filed by the Minister of Education has been withdrawn. No further action or steps will be taken in the matter. No decision will be rendered. And there will be no fines applied for the first 2 days of strikes as well. So it seems that pressure forced them to do this during the break week to show that they were serious. They basically said publicly, don't take advantage of our good nature, and please spend more time negotiating than trying to demonize us. And we're still going to agree to let you have until Monday. Yes, but you need to pull that thing from the Ontario Labour Relations Board and remove those fines. And seems they did.
Sorry, that was my computer.
Seems they did. So Doug Ford is not negotiating from a position of strength at the moment. And I think
he ever had a position of strength?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Well, I mean, there were options, but he decided to play all the cards at once. I said, when they asked him, do you want to use, it's like, do you feel bad about using the sledgehammer and whatnot? So, well, I wouldn't call it a sledgehammer. I would call it a tool. From where I sit, I see a tool calling something using a sledgehammer. So,
Yeah.
So they're still talking. CUPE, I see Kit Leanne saying, did CUPE just make a deal? Possibly. I have not had time to listen to any news this morning. So maybe there is some advancement here. But even if they had made a deal, though, I wouldn't agree to anything until that law is actually repealed. Don't sign anything until the law is actually repealed.
Yeah, because he will do what he can to take
You can't
advantage of
trust
you.
this fucker further than you can throw him, and most of them can't lift him up.
Yeah, it's very true. Very, very true.
It's like he's untrustworthy, and he was asked about that too, specifically. It's like, what credibility do you have? Why should they trust you? It's because he gives with one hand and takes away with the other.
Yeah, he's gonna pick your pocket in one area while he's pretending to put money in the other one.
Yeah. So that's where those things stand, as far as I know at the moment. Now it seems that with COVID, if we're moving on to that we are going to have mask mandates. I have heard word on the tweet was that it was going to happen on Monday, but the source from whom I heard that actually deleted that tweet. So
Yeah,
I don't know if there's some backtracking going on here.
I don't know. I got something here. I'm gonna show you in a sec. I just gotta clip it and save it so you can see. It may very well be true, because when I show you this, you'll understand. Hang on. It's just, I'm having problems right now with my computer. It's not behaving. I tried to save a couple of things and it wouldn't work.
Well, let's just say what's going on. In the United States, about around the time of October 21st, they were reporting that about 75% of the hospitals there, particular pediatric hospitals, were full because of flu and RSV and COVID all together.
Well, here we go. I've got something for you. I'm going to post this up in a sec, and here we are. According to Dean, and this is from 18 hours ago, he says, FYI, mask mandates are coming back to an Ontario near you on Monday. Let the shitposting begin. And the first response is from Darwinian Canadian at RealChazDarwin on Twitter. Here's the ugly part. Pediatric ICU is completely full across the whole province. That means if your kid gets hit by a car, eats something toxic, or needs cancer surgery, you're probably out of luck because the government waited too long again.
Exactly. And we're at the part where the number of children requiring intensive care in Ontario and hospitals has outpaced the available number of pediatric hospital beds, leading to new concerns. And I believe the numbers were, I think there's 121 pediatric ICU beds, and there's at least yesterday, 132 beds were needed. So that's very, very, very oversubscribed. Michael Warner, there are 112 pediatric ICU beds in Ontario. There are 122 pediatric ICU patients in Ontario. So that's yesterday at 7:39 a.m. During the worst of Wave 3, the adult system was never pushed to 109% occupancy of physical ICU beds. What does the Ontario government have to say? We talked about...
Just a sec. I'll be right back. I need a Kleenex.
Okay. And then there was Dr. Nellie Kaplan-Mirth, who's a doctor in Ottawa and now school board trustee because she got elected during the municipal elections. Hands up if you want to see action. Canadians, a second ICU was needed in Ottawa's Children's Hospital. We can't undo damage done by minimizers, but politicians and healthcare and education leaders can bring back masks at work, school, and essential services on public transport. So, and I remember like the last episode or 2 episodes ago, you had mentioned the fact that in Ontario, the essential workers were the people who had the highest death numbers.
Yep.
Right?
By a large margin.
So it came to
margin.
Yep. So it's like, first, the elected minimizers sacrificed our grandparents and parents at the altar of the economy. Mm-hmm. So badly so that the military was needed to be called into LTCs.
And again, battle-hardened military combat medics suffered severe PTSD from the conditions they saw these seniors in these LTCs.
Yep.
What does that tell you?
Right.
These are people who go into, again, the combat medics. They're part of the DART. They go in and to the worst possible scenarios and see the worst possible things. And then they go into a long-term care home in the province of Ontario in 2020 and discover conditions so deplorably bad that they're now in therapy about it.
Yeah. Then it was the manufacturing and processing workers, meat plants, auto plants, any place where you work together in close quarters, assembly. And now it's the children. There's absolutely nobody they will not sell out or betray for a buck.
Well,
All of
remember,
them, one by one, have been successfully sacrificed at the altar of the economy.
well, and Leanne, I posted this on the screen. He enacted a bill where you cannot sue the operators. And I've said this 100 times. I'll say it 101 times. The iron ring that Doug Ford promised around the long-term care homes is real, but it's around the shareholders, not the residents.
Yeah. And then you have Melanie Bichard, who's a pediatric doctor, who basically stated, when adult ICUs and emergency departments were at risk of being overwhelmed, we shut down the world to flatten the curve. When pediatric ICUs and emergency departments are overwhelmed, public life continues like nothing's happening. I'd be heartbroken if I wasn't so angry.
Mm-hmm. Here's a great quote from Kendra Morley on watching us on Facebook. Where was the convoy for long-term care homes?
Right. And then Dr. Warner said, when this level of ICU surge happened in the adult world, we heard from our elected leaders daily, nothing when it's kids. And this, Mr. Grizzly, if you will.
Sorry, I just saw something. I got to share this right now. I'm sorry. I know this is a total non sequitur, but you know how anybody can get a check mark now?
Yep.
On Twitter? Okay.
Yep.
I have to share this immediately because
we're going to talk about that. Okay.
This is hilarious. This is unbelievably funny. Check this out. Pepsi with a check mark. Coke is better.
Lord, we'll get to that one. Then if you would, Mr. Grizzly, CHIO
Pop that up.
has had to open a second ICU.
Wash your hands. Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Lamoureux.
All the way up.
Director for Critical Care and Surgical Services here at CHIO.
Just blow it up. Hit the blow up.
Pretty extraordinary.
Yep. Perfect.
We've opened a second pediatric ICU here at CHIO to care for more critically ill kids and to do more critically needed surgery. Part of this is ensuring that kids can get care that they really need closer to home, so we can stop sending kids across the province. I really have to thank Team CHIO, our nurses, our RTs, our leadership teams, biomedical engineering and facilities and ISIT who made this possible. But I also have something to ask all of you, and that is to please wash your hands. Wear a mask when you're in crowded spaces or inside. Get vaccinated, and just stay home when you're sick. All of those things can really help and will make a difference to what we're all trying to do here. Thank you.
So,
hi everyone. My name is Adam Lamoureux.
There.
So,
yeah.
CHIO's opening second ICUs. And what the government of Ontario is doing is that they're opening adult hospitals to children 14 plus, except that children 14 to 18 are not the ones catching RSV.
Well, and there's 122 pediatric ICU beds in the province of Ontario. 14 plus million people in Ontario. Now I realize 14 million are not children. But does that seem like a reasonable number? Because I do know for a fact that we have the least number of beds per capita in the country.
Yep.
So we're the richest, most
And
populous province.
Yeah, and Canada has among the less hospital beds per capita in general in all the
Which is
OECD countries.
Pathetic. Beyond pathetic.
And we don't have the doctors and the nurses and the medical staff to support the few that we have.
And let's not forget that successive provincial governments have cut healthcare spending across the province, no matter what the stripe, okay? No matter what the political party was in power, they have been cutting healthcare spending for decades. Now they're demanding more money from the federal government, but they don't want any strings attached for health. We need more money for healthcare, but no strings attached. No. Doug, we're still missing $4.4 billion.
Yeah.
Where's the $4.4 billion, Doug? Doug, where's the money? Where's the money, Doug? Where's the money? Where's the money, Doug? Doug, where's the money?
That's
They
what
can't
CUPE
ask him
would say.
about. They can't ask him about that because they're losing their minds over a $6,000 hotel bill and millions for the LiveCan app, as if
remember the hotels. The thing about the hotels, that was not our choice. It was the UK government who told us where to stay because they had to set up a security perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And we did used to have a place to stay. We did own property in London.
Yes, but Harper sold it.
So stop. Just
to
stop
balance his
with
budget.
this. Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah,
balance
to create
the budget.
The illusion of a balanced budget.
And the illusion of a balanced budget, because he robbed Peter to pay Paul, and in the future we're paying more money in the long run because now we don't have that property.
Yep. Just like he sold the GM stock that we got in exchange for helping them during the 2008 at a loss.
Yeah.
In order to balance the budget on his way out before the election to say, we balanced a budget.
Well, and I thought at one point, because he was an economist, that he would
a trained economist.
Trained
economist.
You're right.
Remember, we used to get on that. Not just an economist, a trained one.
Yes. I thought he would actually do something good, but he didn't.
Nope. So they're losing their mind over 6,000 hotel rooms, and they're losing their mind over
$6,000.
Yeah, $6,000, and they're losing their mind over the ArriveCan app because it cost, I think, for $54 million instead of whatnot. And it's like, okay, first of all, as if there has never been a government informatics project that has gone over budget in the history of government ever, or a military purchase that hasn't gone way over, or a building of a pipeline that's gone. We always get told what a price is beginning like this, and it always ends up being double, triple, whatever afterwards.
Yeah.
The gun registry, long gun registry under Chrétien that ended up costing a couple of billion.
Yeah. And let's not forget
mess.
Well, the Phoenix mess. Let's not forget the one promise that he campaigned on. So two promises that he campaigned on. Two big promises that Chrétien campaigned on. I will axe the GST and I will kill the helicopters. And we're like, no, don't kill the helicopters. We desperately need them. The helicopters that they're currently flying in, the Sea Kings, are older than the pilots. We need these helicopters. But he pulled a pissing contest because it was signed by the Mulroney government, canceled the project, cost us almost $1 billion in penalties, and then we still didn't have a replacement for another almost 20 years, which cost us over $1 billion when you consider the fact that all of the time spent, every hour that aircraft was in the air was 10 hours of servicing for every hour a Sea King flew, because we had to manufacture our own parts because the parts didn't exist. I had friends of mine who flew on them. My buddy Mark, he's retired from the military now. He says, we machined our own parts because they didn't exist. The helicopters were older than the pilots. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Chrétien, you fucked up, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's these people just make me so upset. And this is also the people that are supporting the party that now has the former leader, who is now the House leader, Andrew Scheer, who played fast and loose with $700,000 to $900,000. There's the coffee. $700,000 to $900,000, for which they did an investigation, have a report that they suddenly will not release to the public.
I wonder why that is.
They still won't release it, and we still don't know whether or not Andrew paid back that money.
Didn't they buy him a minivan too, or something?
Something
Send
like
his
that.
kids to private school, which I get the private school thing, okay, because, I get that in the sense that, your children need a certain amount of security. That's fine. Except, did you know
Prime
that?
Minister's not sending his kids to private school.
No, he's not. And Stephen Harper's daughter did not go to private school. She didn't. She went to a school like not 5 minutes from where I live, a 5-minute walk from where I live. I know because I worked at that school. I did a bunch of work at that school, rebuilding the network there. And I remember standing there one day and I was doing some stuff. And there's this young lady, talking to these two big burly guys. And I didn't realize they were RCMP. And I'm like, what? And I was talking to the guy escorting us. He was saying, oh, how's you? Oh, I twisted the ankle skiing, on March break, but I think I'll be okay. So, okay, all right, take care. And off they go. And I see these two big, I'm like, what the hell? He goes, oh, that's the Prime Minister's daughter, and that's her security escort. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, wouldn't she be in a private school? He says, no, she didn't want any part of that. Neither did her mother.
Yeah.
They wanted her to just go to school.
Yeah. When I was in high school, the first year, Ed Broadbent's daughter was in my class.
Well, Matthew Perry went to school with Justin.
Yeah.
Right. And that was just a regular school, nothing special.
Right. So, yeah. So, I know this is a Bill Maher thing. Yeah, this is a Bill Maher thing, but new rules. You can't be upset about 6,000 or an ArriveCAN app thing like this if you're not upset by 4 or 5 billion being lost. And Kenny lost about that amount too.
Yes,
if your own people are losing billions, you can't be upset by thousands or millions that other people miss.
Because it's incredibly hypocritical.
You just can't. Okay, new rules. So stop bitching. But this is like this whole butthurt of the day thing that we've been on, right? Mm-hmm. He's singing. Oh, he wore a T-shirt while he was singing. Oh, he went bungee jumping with his child. Oh, there's all the reasons that they've been butthurt over like the last month and a half. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, ground the plane. Because he's taking trips as a prime minister and using more GHGs than the average person. Well, he's the prime minister. It's his damn job.
What is he going to take, a bus?
Right.
Is he going to drive?
And that thing that we were talking about with the Queen, right? Oh, well, he went and spent 6,000, but if we didn't go, right now, I can't believe he was so heartless he didn't go. Well, Remembrance Day, he has to go to a meeting in Cambodia. The True North has got their things up. Like he's so heartless and turning his back on veterans, he can't even stay from right.
Yeah, it's a no-win situation, and even when I sit out with my buddies from the Scotch and Cigar Club, who most of them are progressive conservatives, and I've said this many times before. Yeah. They're like, no, he can't win with that one. And they're like, you know what? He did the right thing by going to London to the Queen's funeral. He did the right thing. People are going to shit all over him for it. He can't win. If he stayed in Canada, bad. If he goes to London, bad. He said, these guys are people are being so ridiculously petty and partisan that no matter what he does, they're going to dump on him. And they're going to dump on him for things that he shouldn't get dumped on for. When he does a massive foul up, as all prime ministers and premiers and cabinet members do, feel free to dump on him, because we'll do it too. We'll dump on him if he screws up. We're not going to let him get away with it. But now they're just pulling things out of thin air to create partisanship and rage farm, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it.
And it doesn't seem like it's going to stop, because the Convoy Party of Canada has gotten itself a new communications director. And she seems like a real winner. She posted something saying...
the music to her
let's
ears?
Just put it up. There it is.
Hang on. Pull it up right now.
Somebody wrote, you should resign and be called to Sarah Fisher and the Conservative Party of Canada. You should resign and be called to testify at the Emergencies Act inquiry. Your repeated actions, honking horns, encouraging truckers, and laughing gleefully in the face of Ottawa citizens is a disgrace. It shows that Pierre Poilievre, you and Pierre Poilievre really only care about your own political fortunes. To which he writes, some people are only happy when everyone else around them is miserable. I will never apologize for defending Canadians' right to protest, especially when their Prime Minister shamed, ridiculed, ostracized, and tried to silence them for 2 years. We can do better, and we will. That never happened.
It never happened.
Never happened. But some people are only happy when everyone else around them is miserable. And because...
Bitch, please.
Sarah Fisher.
Come after me for that one.
Yeah, expressing.
Woke up to the sound of truck horns honking. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday morning. I woke up to the sound of truck horns honking. I don't know what's happening there. There was a 10-day injunction forcing them to, or I guess threatening that if they did honk their horns, there would be fines handed out. So I don't know if they're just accepting those fines or what, but it's nice to hear.
Yeah, what do we call her? A real see you next Tuesday kind of gal.
Expressing her happiness that everyone else around her was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and then, right, there's one of her actually like pulling the cord from a trucker like this.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Herself contributing to the noise. And then there's another one with her on her balcony hearing all the honking and calling it music to her ears.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, because, these people are all class and they seem to have a hate on for Chrystia Freeland as long and as wide as they have for the Prime Minister. Here is their Director of Communications again.
Instead of, like, if you listen to Chrystia Freeland, she's always like, let me be clear. Let me be very clear.
You know who else used to say, let me be clear ad nauseum?
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Harper.
Yeah.
That was his, like, let me be clear. And then that was his tell that whatever was going to follow was going to be as clear as mud.
Clear as this black mug of coffee.
Yep. It's just like when Pierre Poliver
black like my heart.
When Pierre Poliver says, frankly.
Frankly, I used to know a fellow named Frank Lee, actually. Good time.
But so when he says frankly, you know what's going to happen. What's coming next is going to be an outright lie. Now, I would have a feeling that the director of the communications of a political party is a hire on which the leader of the party would probably be consulted and would need to approve.
That's what I was looking for.
He's got some explaining to do, and she's not going to help this party.
No, not at all.
If that's already the track you're going in, she's not going to be help. I don't know why you would hire that as a director of communications. So they're probably going to go through some things. She's going to be a liability. Her name is Sarah Fisher. So yeah,
remember the name.
Less than impressive. Well, Fisher, at least I guess. She's going fishing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sarah Fisher, Fischer, correct?
Yes,
am I correct?
That is correct. That is correct. Some a little midterms update news. The last that I checked, it is still down to 3 Senate seats for the control of the Senate, and so Georgia, which is going to a runoff. Raphael Warnock was able to widen his lead because I think 2 mornings ago his lead was 0.5%, and he has stretched it out to a bit more than that. But he's going to be like something like 0.4% short of hitting the 50%. And Georgia is the only state in all of the union that has the rule that if somebody doesn't get 50% in the midterm or the general election, that it has to go to a runoff. There was a libertarian candidate that took about 2.1% of the vote, and that was pretty much enough to block his way to 50. But there's a proof that every vote counts, right? Absolutely, every vote counts because it's literally tenths of a percentage. tenths of a percentage. That's forcing this other runoff. Now, unlike last time in their national election, their period between the election and the runoff was 9 weeks. They've shortened that to 6 weeks. So before it was after Christmas in the November election. Now it's going to be December 6th. And apparently, you already can't get on the voter rolls if you decided that you wanted to vote in that runoff. I think you had to decide before the election's results were declared that if you wanted to vote in a runoff, should there be a runoff, that you had to register before then, which is a little weird. The other two states that are at play are Nevada, in which the Republicans got out to an early lead, but now they're counting in the mail-in votes. And 2 mornings ago, the Republican had a lead of 2.7%, with 80% of the vote counted. Yesterday morning, it was 1.8% with 84% counted. And before I went to bed last night, the difference was 0.9%, with 87% of the vote counted. So it's looking pretty good that the Democrats will keep that seat. And then in Arizona, it's the other way around, where the Democrat candidate usually shows an early lead, and then as the votes come in later on, the Republicans close the gap. And then that yesterday morning was 67% counted. The Democrat, Mark Kelly, had a lead of 6.3%. That dropped to 5% with 76% counted, but grew again to 5.6% last night before going to bed with 80% counted. So it seems that this Blake Masters guy might be running out of runway. If Arizona and Nevada are declared, that will be 50, and that will be retaining the Senate, and then whatever happens in Georgia happens in Georgia. So it could be a 51 or still 50 with Kamala Harris.
Is that like Vegas? Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Stays in
whatever
Vegas.
happens in Georgia.
Yeah.
No.
And while it still looks like the Republicans may take the House, there are some people projecting, if they're looking at, they have the declared seats, and then with the seats remaining, who's leading. There's maybe a small chance it won't happen. Maybe a small chance it won't happen. But if it does happen, it is going to be very small, like probably fewer than 10 seats, maybe even like 6 or 7 seat win. And you have to consider that now that this election has basically proven that Donald Trump is dead weight and a liability, the Republicans are probably going to have some difficulty getting all their caucus together for certain votes, because some are still going to be Trump till the end, right or die. And so if Kevin McCarthy, who thinks he's going to be the leader of the House, and that's not even looking very clear anymore, but if they want to get things through, they might have better luck working with some Democrats than working against the Yahoo Trump wing within their own party. So even if Joe Biden loses control of the House, he may not actually lose control of the House. He may still be able to do bipartisan work, which he's been doing a lot in the first 2 years, because Republicans may not be able to get along amongst themselves, particularly if they've got a civil war, DeSantis, Trump civil war, Pence as well, civil war going on to who's going to be the top of the party, and whether or not someone to be team election denier and or team normal, as Liz Cheney calls it.
team normal.
Yes. So, but if election denialism and Trumpism is not working for them anymore, then and politics number one is about survival, right? Keeping your seat.
In the end, yeah.
I mean, they'll switch like a dime. I mean, they all rolled over from Trump when they thought that was the winning formula, pretty darn quickly, right? All their values, family values,
right out the window. Well, and Lady Gray was the guy who said, if we elect Trump, we'll get destroyed and we'll deserve it. And now he's supporting. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
They don't give a damn about anything but power and control. Clearly.
Right, exactly. They want to reign, not govern.
That's right. Well, I mean, look at Herschel Walker. How in a sane world would that man be in a position to almost win? I mean, the man is and the Republican Party, family of values, blah, 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 against abortion, against everything that, makes sense in this world. He has how many children from how many different women? How many women has he beat the shit out of? How many women has he sent to get an abortion? And they're still supporting him? Hypocrisy much? Have you looked in the mirror? Have you looked up the word hypocrisy? Because that's the actually textbook Webster's dictionary definition.
Deficient, though, however, is
deficient definition thereof.
You had a Freudian slip there.
Yes, I did.
So yeah, and of course, there's some Massachusetts elected an openly out lesbian, which is she's going to be the first as governor. So the first openly out lesbian governor in the United States. Maryland elected also an African American governor. It's only the third, I believe. I heard it's only third Black governor in the United States history.
Wow.
Right. And the first Congress member from Generation Z has been elected, the 25-year-old.
What the fuck is a Z?
Generation Z. Sorry, it's U.S.
I don't care. We're Canadian. We speak English.
I know that, but I'm quoting U.S. So I said,
yeah, but they fucked it up. They fucked it up. I know that.
But I've been hearing it all week. So.
Yeah, but sorry. I look. I'm a fan of JZ. I like his music. I got 99 problems. Zed.
But my alphabet ain't one.
There's about 1 billion people in the world that speak English. About 1 billion. That English, 850 million alone in India. And the last letter of the alphabet is Z.
Yes.
A matter of fact, the international air code, right? Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta,
yes.
Echo, Foxtrot, Hotel, India, J. What's J? Juliet? Anyway, the Americans came up with this, and the last letter, it's X-ray, Yankee, and instead of saying Z, Zulu.
Yes.
Z doesn't rhyme with anything else in the alphabet. The reason they have Alpha, Bravo, Charlie is B, C, D, E, G, T, B, right? They all sound the same, so you have to have a word so it sounds out and you can hear it correctly. But instead of going with Z, which is the proper pronunciation of the last letter of the alphabet in the English language, they went with Zulu. Great. What the hell is this shit?
Yeah, we have someone
to don't worry, I'm blocking them.
All right. So yeah, and getting staying stateside,
sorry.
there was
I rant from time to time. The sexy bots found us.
The sexy bots.
Hey, I don't mind being considered sexy, but you're not going to sell that here. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not to sell. We're not selling that. No.
Yeah. Listen,
want me to put that up?
If you want some sexy bots, you got two right here.
Yeah. I'm sexy and I know it. Here, I'll throw this up
for this podcast. So our favorite megalomaniac, elongated nose muskrat love, is having some trouble.
A little bit.
Yeah, October 27th. This is a board from CNN. October 27th takes over and fires top executives. November 1st, charging $8 for verification fallout. And he banned Valerie Bertinelli did this wonderful thing where she got a check and then called herself Elon Musk, but the only way you could tell is by the email associated. And then he got upset.
She didn't change her photo. It's still her photo, right?
Right. Then she got upset. And then Kathy Griffin, I think, did the same thing, but he banned her. Yeah. And then said, every account that has to be parody has to say specifically that it's parody and, like this. But then there are other parody accounts that are doing it. So it seems that it's only if it's parodies of him. And then apparently
thin skin.
Apparently, because a lot of people can afford $8, like a whole bunch of bots, like you said, Zero Kills, have gone to get their blue check and given them $8, whatnot, and that whole system is now completely screwed up. And if you click on the blue check, some of them say you paid to have a verified account, and the other ones say this account has the old system, right? That says, you know, a reliable source for content. Then on November 4th, he lays off thousands, and then there are lawsuits filed, and apparently he laid off some of those people by mistake. November 6th, and for them to come back. And November 6th cracks down on impersonations. And then November 10th warns of Twitter bankruptcy.
And then banned remote work. Everybody come back to the office.
Yeah.
Megalomaniac.
How do you like take over something and 2 weeks later send out like, oh yeah, we might have to go into bankruptcy?
Yeah. I got to throw this up because I don't know if the kits have seen this one, folks. This is a good one right here. I'm going to put this one up. You're going to love this one. This is a beauty. Check this out. The Doug Ford parody account. It does say this is a parody account. It didn't say that initially, but he did put that up so he wouldn't get banned. I don't know what that word means, but I do know that I am the Premier of Ontario. I work till midnight every night. And then some of the tweets. I need a real egg Sammy from Timmy's or I'm going to blow a gasket. Folks, Margaret Atwood seems like a real smart lady, but boy, oh boy, does she ever give me the spooks. Oh my God. Folks, I don't know what all the huff's about, but as my nephew Mikey will tell you, a nice pair of knockers is always welcome in Ontario. School board concludes it can't implement dress code after teacher wears giant fake breasts. My heart breaks for the people of Ukraine. That's why tomorrow morning I will be calling the Prime Minister and asking him to send Mr. Voldemort Zelensky a Canadian Screen Award.
Shit.
Folks, if you like the pumpkin video, you're going to love watching me cover up the public health care system.
Oh.
My friends, the only thing I hate more than a Doug Ford Twitter impersonator is a rat. Snitches get stitches, folks. I mean, like, it's brilliant because it's so close to reality.
Oh, man.
So give it's the Twitter I'm following. It's just at Doug Ford _ Ontario. And you'll find it. I don't know how old the account is. It's quite new. It went from about 100 followers to 4,300 in almost a day.
Mm-hmm. And just finally a little touch on Elon, because you know that you know he's not funding it alone, right? He went to get a whole bunch of
he's got mostly Saudi money, I believe.
Include the $1.9 billion of Saudi money. They're the largest investor in there. But he had to like take a lot from Tesla in order to be able to do that. And shareholders don't like it when their CEOs have their attention divided and they're being distracted. And when they take on a pet project and they seem to be driving it into bankruptcy and raising public ire, things happen to the company that's still public. And if you would, Mr. Grizzly.
I'll just throw this right up.
Over the last 5 days, Tesla stock has dropped 14.33%. Over the last month, 11.9%. Over the last 6 months, 22%. Year to date, 52.31%.
Yeesh. Yeah. It looks like all my investments are
for bankruptcy.
All my investments are in the turlet.
Yeah. No wonder he's filing for bankruptcy.
No kidding.
Potentially. He bought it overpriced.
Mm-hmm.
And what he used as collateral has lost half its value.
Oopsie. Oh my!
It's expensive wanting to control people's speech. Having thin skin can cost you a lot. Now, while Trump is still saying that he would not come back on Twitter if he needs to, he's been musing that on the 15th he will have a big announcement to make.
Yeah, what's that?
Which I'm not sure if he will be making it after all, after those election results prove that he is a big loser. And it turns out this morning, I heard on the news that Jared and Ivanka,
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry
It
about
just
that.
took me a sec.
Do not want anything to do with another run. They're out.
Gee, I wonder why.
His precious little princess doesn't want to follow daddy. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt. Because as Trevor Noah says, Trump really, 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 really wants to date his daughter.
Date? Is that the word? Date? I think there's another
No, I
word, but we'll be
believe
polite.
there's a bleep there.
It starts with F and ends in UCK, and it's not fire truck.
So, and it appears that the Twitter's cybersecurity chief just quit after the botched debut of its verification system because people are buying check marks to then impersonate celebrities, businesses, and even deities. Which has been really, really interesting. And again, Mr. Grizzly, if you will, you showed us the Coke and Pepsi one, but you might like these ones.
Was able to in less than 2 beers.
And Jesus?
Who has 2 thumbs and verify? I saw that one. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Verified.
And
Super Mario?
Given the finger on the Nintendo.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Hilarious.
Didn't think that one through, did you, buddy?
Nope. No. $8.
He put out this thing, right? Like, it was like, we're gonna try a lot of things, and we're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and like this. So far, I'm seeing only mistakes. So far, I'm seeing that everything you try is blown up in your face. I should not be laughing so hard. I mean, it's like
I know. And I hate I hate to laugh at somebody's misfortune, but sometimes you just have to because shit be funny, yo.
I mean, but when you buy the banana and peel the banana and make an X on the ground and put the banana on the X and then take 50 steps back and then get a running start and step on the banana peel.
I have a pen. I have pineapple. Pineapple pen. Yeah. It's it is what it is. It's like,
oh my God, I killed myself. Oh man. Kids, sometimes I find myself very funny. I'm not sure if everybody agrees, but oh man. Oh my God. This guy, I swear. I just I think I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but of course, the finance minister released the fall economic statement, and I do want to listen to the full speech, but there were a couple of interesting things in it. The most interesting one for me was, and not because it affects me in any way, because I've already paid all my student loans, but the elimination of interest on the federal part of your student loans permanently.
Oh, that's wonderful. And the only people who say, well, I had to pay mine, you should pay yours. Oh, so you what, because I have to suffer horribly? You had your time and now I don't get. It's such a selfish thing to say. You should have to suffer too, right?
Right.
Not to mention the fact that at the time that's for a great number of us, me, my education was funded by the federal government. Just because it was a introductory program, which doesn't even exist anymore. Go figure. But the idea that, I paid my student loans, you should pay yours too. Yeah, except your student loans were at almost 0% interest by the federal and provincial government. Now they're all done by banks, a for-profit industry, charging a much higher interest rate. Oh, and the other thing is, unlike student loans from the past, when you didn't have to start paying them until, what was it, 9 months after you started a full-time position? 6 or 9 months, I don't recall exactly. You didn't have to start. Now you have to start repaying the minute you graduate. Like the minute they hand you your diploma, you need to start repaying your loans, whether you're employed or not. Tough luck,
Yeah, I
pal.
think you get 6 months or something, but
Used to get 6 months. It's not like that anymore.
oh, it's not.
And-
Okay.
No, it's not. Well, you have to start paying immediately. You used to get 6 or 9 months, and it could be like a 20-year loan payout, like damn near a mortgage. Now it's a fixed interest rate and a fixed time, and you have to start paying the minute you graduate.
Oh,
So it's all different now. Oh, and also
wow.
the loans you need are a lot higher, because have you seen how much student housing costs these days?
Yeah.
A student housing cost to rent a room in like a 3-bedroom apartment is going to cost you as much as I pay in rent for my 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
And in some cases more.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So within that mini budget, there were other measures mentioned. A commitment of $15 billion to the Canada Growth Fund to help business and industry reduce their carbon footprint. A refundable tax credit that would cover 30% of capital costs to stimulate innovation in other projects for renewable energy projects, production of zero-emission vehicles and their batteries, or clean hydrogen technology. Under the condition that companies are paying fair market wages and offering apprenticeship training, and a 2% tax on share buybacks by 2024 in order to push corporations to reinvest in their workforce in technology and expansion. So those are some pretty good measures as well. I believe it was stated that we are going to come under target for what was declared at the beginning of the year, which would be our deficit for the year. I think at the budget time, it was declared that we would have a deficit of about $58.2 billion, and about $20 billion or so has been knocked off that. $2.8 billion, and it will be projected to come in at 36.4 instead. So about $16 billion less, unless there's a hard landing with regards to the cutting interest rates that creates a recession. And within that, she announced $30.5 billion in new spending, to help the more vulnerable, which again has the Conservatives losing their minds. Nobody's talking about the lower deficit projection. They're only talking about, so I mean, if you have a lower deficit projection of about 16 billion and there's 30.5, you're really looking at 14. And, that's basically a rounding error in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
Given the overall size of the budget. And of course, if you count the counterfactual, if you let people fall through the cracks, right, taking care of that costs more. So it's not about the money, because they're perfectly willing to spend the money, right, on incarceration and court fees and healthcare for people who fall into addiction or get beaten up if they're living homelessness on the street, or get beaten up in a shelter if that happens. But they're not willing to spend the money to actually keep you in your home. So it's not about the money. They'll pay for you to suffer. They're perfectly willing to spend the money for that, because if they consider you beneath them, they have no money, no problem spending money for that. It's not about the money. When they start crying about the money, it's not about the money. And the other thing that they will change is that the Canada Worker Benefit, like I believe the carbon refund, will now be delivered quarterly rather than annually, and they will start negotiations with credit card companies to lower credit card transaction fees, or regulate the industry if they can't come to a voluntary agreement. So those are some pretty good measures that they can go out and market with. And a lot of them are, again, simple things that you can explain to people without, a 2-minute or 3-minute economics crash course first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
right? So simple things that show that you're taking action and that you can explain relatively simply, and that you can come back to over and over again, and through all your various communications. And if they are talking a little more about fiscal discipline, um, which the Minister of Finance is at the moment, what that also creates is, how they talk about red Tories and blue liberals,
Mhm.
for example. Well, people that consider themselves blue liberals, and that like the John Manleys of the world and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
right? Now have a little more reason to sort of come back to the fold a little bit, uh, you know, uh, because if we're going to be engaging in a little bit more fiscal discipline now, then that whatever fear that they had that may cause them to lean conservative will then probably be abating. So, and remember, we've got what 2 or 3 more years until the next federal election. A little more than
2024, isn't it?
about 2, yeah, 2 now, yeah,
2
because we
years,
passed
yeah, yeah.
October. Yeah, so that's a lot of time to work on that. And in the U.S., there were inflation numbers that came out yesterday saying that their inflation has dropped down to 7.7%, and it was a bigger drop than expected, which may be a good sign for Canada when our numbers come out in a couple of days, because the closer we can get to a regular inflation number being reported on the daily, then that talking point gets taken away from the conservatives. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that prices are going down, right? The prices are what they are now, and sadly are probably not going to go down. That's probably the new normal. But they will not be going up as fast. And hopefully, if the economy is still performing well, it might give people some time to catch up if they happen to get some wage increases that might be a little above the rate of inflation.
Well, that would be good.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't hold on hope to that, but right.
No,
No,
I'm
because
not holding my breath
typically,
because I'll turn blue and die. I don't want to do
well,
that.
yeah, and I mean it's pretty rare that people get wage increases that are above inflation.
It
But
almost
if we're
never
looking at,
happens. I don't think it's
yeah,
ever happened.
I don't know. Yeah. But if we're looking at the inflation rate for Canada in particular, if we're not looking on an annual basis, if we're just looking at some more interim measures like a 3-month measure, the 3-month consumer price index medium and consumer price index trim measures are cooling to a pace of roughly 4% in September compared to the level about 5% that has persisted for the last 12 months in recent rates. So if our last inflation rate, I think, was 6.9, and the last 3 months inflation rate is 4, that number is going to keep coming down for the next few months. And while 4 is never, is still not, between 1 and 3%, which is, closer to their target. It's still much better than 9 or 7.
Oh yes, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And it starts to take the pressure off. So that's a important development if you're looking at where things are maybe going, where things will be in the next 6 or 7 months. We've gone on for a while, so I think we'll get close to ending.
Yes, I just wanted
but
to throw up. I wanted to throw up this thing I just found a moment ago. I have not been able to ascertain to the veracity of this statement, but I'm going to put this up on the screen. This woman says, "Today I was not allowed to wear this shirt inside the legislative building, and escorted by security to turn it inside out, not backwards, inside out. Her T-shirt says abortion is health care," and this is in the Saskatchewan legislature. Now, I do not know how truthful this is because I just saw it and I thought I would post this because a lot of people have been chiming in saying very much the same thing. So it's entirely possible that that is very truthful. And I guess some people in the Legislative Assembly of the province of Saskatchewan are sensitive to the fact that healthcare is a sensitive subject.
Oh, and since you mentioned Saskatchewan and healthcare, that made me think of 2 other things before we get to my last thing. Saskatchewan has been having some trouble lately. Apparently, they had an event on having something to do with crime, and someone from this some member of the Saskatchewan legislature from the governing party invited, of all people, Colin Thatcher.
Yeah. They've since apologized for that, and I believe the guy who invited him also stepped down. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was an apology made, and they realized, that was wrong choice. You think? Murdered his wife.
Right. Wiley was a sitting
MP. Yeah. MPP or MLA?
I believe it's an MLA in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, MLA. Yeah.
So yeah, it was an announcement, I think, for something having to do with being tough on crime.
Mm-hmm. And they brought in an actual criminal.
Now, how is that not freaking ironic?
An actual criminal who murdered his wife.
Yeah. So Saskatchewan Party Legislature. Yeah, Saskatchewan Party Legislature member Lyle Stewart invited him to the thing, and I know that there were some consequences, but not before. Right, the premier's first instinct was like, well, why should I do anything about that?
Mm-hmm.
That was his first response, I guess. And then the following day it was like, well, after some soul searching, stuff like that, I thought, no, not after some soul searching.
Some PR people brought you down and said, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? There's no soul searching done.
Right?
You think Scott Moe has a soul? Come on. Isn't he a threat convicted?
Oh, of course not. So yes, he was so Lyle Stewart was stripped of his duties.
Right. Okay.
But
yes, that's right. He didn't step down. He didn't resign.
Well, of course he didn't resign. I mean, again, the premier's first instinct is, why should I do anything to address that? So he literally did the minimal.
I couldn't write this. I couldn't write this and submit it for a story, because they'd be like, Paul, you're being absolutely ridiculous. That would never happen. And yet
it can, and it did.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
It's just, and then the other thing that Premier Slow-Mo did is that because Danielle Smith said that she was going to pass an Alberta Sovereignty Act, well, since, he's the junior kid brother who's never met a bad Alberta idea to which he wouldn't subscribe very quickly, he's decided to pass his own Saskatchewan sort of first act. And it's Bill 88.
Am I missing the significance there?
We know what 88 means in gang culture, right?
Oh, right. Oh, shit. Holy shit. For those who don't know, the 8th letter of the alphabet is H. 2 8s, 2 H's. You know what that means, right? Big smile. Big smile.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Again,
took me a second there.
Do not know if that's just a very unfortunate
coincidence.
Coincidence, but it's like the bill that's anti-Ottawa, anti-everything for a province that was pro-convoy, and he was very pro-convoy. That all comes up after people went to Ottawa with swastikas and.
Well, and here's from Spacey Daisy Media, coincidence that Tupac, the United People of Canada, got one donation for $88. That was done by accident. That was done with intent.
The $88 donation, yes.
Yes,
Bill 88,
that's what I mean, the donation, yes.
That donation was, but Bill 80, I don't know, but man.
Who knows? It's could be just
It's just, who knows, right? I mean, just all the the posing for photos with the OK sign and all the little things that they do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all the messages that they send is like tell that part of the base, no, like this, we're denying you in public, but no, like this, we're doing the plausible deniability thing, but don't worry, you're okay with us. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Well, and now I'm kind of upset by the fact that the AOK sign that you used to make with your hand has now been co-opted, and it was initially done as a joke, but now it's a real thing, because I still growing up, Gen X, somebody will come to me, I'll be in a restaurant having something to eat, and the server will come by and they go, "How is everything?" And immediately I go, "A-okay," because my mouth is full. I'm like, and they're like, "Oh shit, I got to start doing this instead."
Right.
Because I don't want them to mistake me for a white supremacist. And if the server is Gen Z, they may very well think that's what I'm saying, if they don't know me. If I'm in an establishment I've never dined in before, they might think that. Now, if I'm at a local establishment where I spend a lot of time and money, my local pub, the Lieutenant's Pump, where we will be doing a live pubcast on November 26th. Yay. For those of you who want to tune in. Yes, I can, I'll go A-okay, and they know that it's, because they know me, they know who I am, they know what I am, they know how I am, because I spend a lot of time and money there, like I said. So, that's fine. But if I'm in an establishment where I've never been before and I do that because my mouth is full, hopefully they know I'm not saying something horrible and that I'm saying, so I got to train myself to just give a thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's hard to reframe your brain around that because you've been doing something for 54 years. Well, no, I shouldn't say 54 years, but 50 years at least. I probably started doing that when I was 4 or 5. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway.
And this is the last one. And this one kind of makes me happy a little bit in a way because I like to joke on stuff. So let's put this one up.
Here we go. Let's see. What's this?
Everything is broken in this country, Pierre Poliver says, blaming PM Trudeau. And when I see quotes like this, think of a 1970s game show, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, kids, it's time to play Complete That Thought. Complete this thought. Everything is broken in this country. Including me. Pierre Poliver says, blaming Prime Minister Trudeau. If everything's broken in this country, may I present broken?
And he fails to see the irony in that statement. He's not very bright, is he?
Oh my God!
I just want to address Kendra really quick here. Kendra's made a comment from Facebook. Yeah. So Kendra, somebody co-opted the A-OK sign to mean WP for white power. So be cautious where you do the A-OK sign because somebody will co-opt it and think that you're suddenly a very vicious, evil, mean person. So it's something that's been co-opted online and if you're like me, you're Gen X and you've been doing, hey, how things A-OK, right? It always meant A-OK, but now it means something else altogether to certain people who have, like I said, co-opted it. So just be cautious and just pay attention. That's all. Because I hate to see innocent people get harmed by something that is not their fault.
Right.
You got a dog out there, man? I hear a dog barking.
Yeah, the next door neighbor, again.
That's a loud dog because you've got, that mic is designed to cut that down, and wow. Yeah, and we've got a noise reduction on, so I can't hear fans or anything, but I can hear that puppy dog, so that must be a big old doggy.
We unfortunately have been having issues the past little while with dogs that are friends of the owners of the property next door, who are not really well trained.
Okay,
and
that happens.
And one of them is a COVID dog that has developed some detachment issues. So whenever somebody goes away,
well, they had people all the time, and now they don't. So that's that's difficult.
And over the last month or so, we have twice found an injection drug needle in our driveway. It's including yesterday, which was the second time. So it's been there are some issues.
We're going to have to get you. We're going to have to get you some more glass on that window. So because I don't want you to lose the daylight and the fact that but we're going to have to get some more insulation on that window so that we can muffle those sounds as we, because I know you're in the process of doing the renos, and we are building a full studio out there for you. And we'll put some noise isolation. I've got my booth almost ready to go. I should get it finished. I might have it done when I get back from vacation. We'll see.
Okay.
But my booth is collapsible, right? I don't want to keep it up all the time, because for a lot of stuff, like, my camera's gone crooked again there. I look like I'm in a Batman villain's lair.
Say it. Say it.
I'm Batman.
There we go.
That one?
Yes.
I'm Batman.
So yeah, but to end on a happier note, for kids who may not know, yesterday and today, because we consider it 2 days, is mine and my Beaver Sweetie's 10th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes. So 10 years ago, last night at around 10 or 10:30 in the evening, I was at a charity event in Ottawa, and a nice young man tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I wanted to dance, because the main events had been over and it was just a dance for the rest of the evening. And I said yes. Now, our first dance is not at all a romantic song. It's Britney Spears and Will.i.am's Scream and Shout.
So it was not a waltz, is what you're saying.
It was not a waltz, and it's a song that contains the word shit and bitch. So
damn.
You got to turn the shit up. You got to turn the shit up.
That's our song. That's our song.
That's our song. Will.i.am and Britney, bitch. Boom, 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 boom. So that's apparently our song. So when we kick off, should we ever get married one day like this, when we kick off the wedding dance, that's going to be the first song, but we're going to have to find the PG version, because there might be kids.
Children and seniors. Trust me, the kids these days say worse in the classroom. They do. And the teachers can say nothing.
Yes, I know.
I'm not kidding. I've worked in schools, in a high school, and it's like 9th, 10th grade, and we're between classes, we're running cables and installing Wi-Fi, and it's like, okay, the bell goes off. Okay, drop what you're doing, put your back to the wall, and just wait till the students clear out. Then you have to go into the classroom to do some work, and you hear the students talking, and it's like, F-bomb this, F-bomb that. It's like, mother, I'm like, holy, and the teacher's sitting there, and I just looked at the teacher, and he's just shaking his head. He's like, I can't say anything. I'm like, wow. In our day, principal's office.
Right away.
And a strap.
Yep.
You dropped an F-bomb in class?
Days, but
I never got the strap.
Yep. So we were discussing what we wanted to do, and tonight's my night to take my sweetie out. But yesterday, discussing what we wanted to do. We didn't do the full dinner like we wanted to do, because yesterday we had the privilege of having an interview with Kit Hugh, who was on earlier this morning.
Too.
Yeah, for Remembrance Day, because he's retired naval officer, and we wanted to talk to him a little about Remembrance Day. So hopefully we'll be able to get that out soon.
I'll get that up today. I promise. Yeah. I just have some edits to make, and editing audio is easy. Editing video is long, slow, and arduous process that chews your processor.
Yeah. And we weren't able to do that one live stream, so it was just live on YouTube, and but we will be putting it on with some editing. But it was a very good interview. So if you have the time at some point, please listen to it, because he's a fellow Kit, and we should support each other. But we had the privilege of doing that, so we didn't go out to dinner. We ordered in very quickly, but so we'll probably do something like that. But he was mentioning, because I'm a dancer in my soul and I love to dance, that he would sure love there to be a place where we could go dancing for a little bit, and stop and have some conversation, dance and have some conversation. And I'm thinking, like, I don't think that there's a place like that anymore, and especially during these times, where you're going to find that.
I don't know.
Well, lo and behold, he found something.
Oh, really?
There's a little brewery right around our place that we're having, of all things. I guess it was a LGBT club in the Rainbow Club in the area. That they had, they were going to have a retro 80s dance. Cool. From like 7 to 11 on a Thursday, when the bar is not particularly busy with other people. So we went there and we danced. So, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, just Erasure, all our favorites. And they found out it was our 10th anniversary, and they agreed to play a slow dance for us, which, again, you go to a club, there's never a slow dance.
No.
Right?
At the very end of the night, that's it.
Not even
If that.
often.
Oh, no, yeah.
If
A lot of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not even if that. So they were trying to figure out what we would play, and my first instinct was Cyndi Lauper's "Time After Time" because she's my favorite and from that era, and but that one's a little. I mean, it's a love song, but it's a little bit of a sad one.
Yeah.
And then it just popped into my mind, "Crazy for You" by Madonna.
Isn't that a song about stalking?
I'm not sure.
I did that as a joke. I have no idea.
Okay.
I just wanted to see your reaction. That's all.
So that became our, I guess, our 10th anniversary slow dance. But our slow song is actually "Once Upon a Dream" from Beauty and the Beast. Not Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty.
Don't know it.
I saw you, I thought of you once upon a dream.
Nope.
Beautiful.
Don't know it.
Okay.
I'll look for it later.
Lana Del Rey did a cover of it that's a little darker for Maleficent as well.
Okay.
Maleficent. So that one's a darker and brooder version. But the Sleeping Beauty Disney one has like all the, the ladies in back who open their mouths and Disney princesses, fall out, and it's a little operatic, the background singers and all that kind of stuff. So it's a beautiful waltz. So yeah, that ended up being our song. But cool. For last night, it was because it was 80s. It was "Crazy for You" by Madonna. So
very cool.
Kits, if you love, please share in our joy and send us your love as well. Yes, Linda, the gleam in your eyes is so familiar a gleam. Yes, that's from the song. If I know you, I'll know what you do. You'll love me at once the way you did once upon a dream. So it's a beautiful song. He asked me to dance, and the next morning we were holding hands, and then we had plans to visit each other. And my philosophy has been just try to get to the next date. So I've been spending 10 years just trying to get to the next date, and he keeps on choosing me, and I keep on choosing him, and I'm still a spitting kitten. So
that's fucking adorable.
Yeah. He's so cute and handsome. I can't help it. He makes my heart go boom. So yeah. On the 26th, can we pop in and say hi? Possibly, says to Spacey Daisy Media. Absolutely.
Yeah. Come on by, man. Come on.
Yes.
The idea is, and of course, I had a chance to chat with the owner last night because we had originally reserved the time for this Saturday, and I spoke to him last night. I said, "Look, apologies, things have changed, and business partner can't make it, so we need to push it to the 26th." And he says, "Yeah, no problem." So he's tables reserved for us from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. So you and I'll get there, set up, have a bite to eat, and the plan is to go live at 2 p.m. so that we can go live from 2 to 6. And then I say the reason we have it till 7 is so we can tear down, pack up, and get out. But yeah, so that is the plan from 2 to 7. So by all means, any time after, let's say after 2:30, because we like to get the first 30 minutes of banter out of the way and then get to the meat and potatoes of whatever the day is that we're going to discuss on that time. Feel free to stop by. I got a set of headphones and a microphone for you. You can join on in.
All right. And if people who are watching wondering why I'm smiling and blushing all of a sudden, it's the comments in the chats. I love it, Douglas, and look at that grin. There's more people who are happy like you. So thank you, kitties. Thank you so much. The love is mutual, and I'm so happy that you are happy for me when good things happen. And like I said, if good things happen to you, please let us know what they are too, so that we can be happy for you and return the favor and sharing your joy. Kitty Lane says Queen Ramona has been suspended from Twitter apparently. So now I'm like, again, one bit less competition on my way to being the official actual Queen of Canada.
And there she be.
Hey. There she be. Bring in the bling for you. All them
Queen
bitches
is
better get out.
lowercase q, capital W-E-E-N.
All them bitches better get out of the way. That's all I'm saying.
I
Let
am
me ascend to
Batman.
my throne. And I will not bring you sardines and crudités.
I
bring
cut up the
cheesecake.
vegetables myself.
And I don't know what's happening to the other one, but I haven't heard from Queen Chicken Charmaine at all.
So I'm gonna we'll end off today with a couple of photos I want to put up here from Remembrance Days past. This was from last year when people removed their poppies and placed them on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This is from the Australian Day Remembrance Day page. They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget.
Mm-hmm.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the lark still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead short days ago. We live, felt dawn, saw sunset glow in Flanders fields.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine posted this with the same passage from the Australian. She took some photos last night at my friend Jennifer took some photos last night at the War Memorial, some beautiful photos. And of course, she Lawrence Binion's For the Fallen. I'm going to read it again because I really do love it. It's very poignant and I get emotional. No, I can't read it. I'm going to cry. Sorry.
Okay. They shall not grow old.
Sorry, I'll put it back up. Go ahead.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Thank you.
Welcome. And thank you, if you're listening, Mr. Grizzly's dad. And I know he's not listening, but maybe he is from where he is, Mr. Grizzly's granddad, who have served. And
there he is. Now, the thing on the bottom says Mr. Thomas Hayden Atkinson in 1915 at 20 years of age. That's incorrect. It is Mr. Thomas Hayden Atkinson, my grandfather, but it was in 1918 at 24 years of age. They got the caption wrong, but that's fine. They got the photo right and the name right, and that's what really matters.
Right. And to my brother, Dwayne, who also served. He served in Bosnia, he served in Somalia, and then when left the military, was a military policeman, and then worked for UN security in Africa later on. And, he's dedicated his life to that type of stuff. So, thanks. And
yes,
if any of the kits have served, and I know that we talk about it a little bit on the show that we did with Kit Hugh, how thank you for your service seems a little insufficient.
It is.
Yeah. But Mr. Grizzly, if you'll put this up, we also talk about this poem, and Kit Hugh reads it for us in the podcast. So if you don't have the time to look at all here, but Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. So if you have a chance, check that one out as well. And I like this.
Yeah, isn't that a great photo? I love the hat, love the smile, love the
how can you not like that guy?
Exactly,
right
exactly.
Right.
What a charming bastard. What a charming bastard you are, sir. I know that's a terrible thing to say. It's a guy thing. Guys get it,
Yes. He earned that hat.
Yes, he did.
He earned that hat.
Yes, he did.
All right.
So if you want to do the closing part, I'll roll the credits, and then I'm going to play the last post to end the program today.
All right. Well, Kits, that's the end of this morning's episode of Just a Nibble. Fridays, we don't do a nibble. We give you more than a few bites. the Not Quite Daily Beaver podcast. We hope you love listening to us because we love making this for you. We sincerely do. I mean, I get up at 6 a.m. I'm not a morning person 3 times a week to do this just for you. So yeah, it is a labor of love. And, I want today to be about love, we're celebrating love, but it's a day of remembrance, but it's love of country, love of people sacrificed, so gratitude and love today. Because democracy is something you do, take some time to observe. And as Kit Hugh reminded us on the show, remembrance isn't just a day, it's an act.
Yes.
And it's every day. So if there's a day in particular to put a little gratitude in your attitude, this would be a good one.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Dean Blundell Network, as well as anywhere you get all your podcasts featuring a grizzly bear and a beaver. Please share the podcast. We love your feedback. So please do let us know what you think, good, bad, or ugly, right? We want to know because it's how we improve.
We do want to know.
Yeah, we do want to know sincerely. And we've gotten a few compliments over the past few days from people saying a great show and they love it. And I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. I think it's Spacey Daisy Media actually says that we're now, I'm not sure, Spacey Daisy Media, I don't know what your pronouns are. So I'm just going to say they for this case in order to, not to mess it up, but said that we're their favorite listen while they're commuting into work now. So that warms our hearts. And Kit Greg Samuel on Twitter says, nice podcast. Just took some time to send us that. So we really appreciate that. But like I said, they don't all have to be, compliments, just,
constructive criticism is acceptable.
Constructive criticism. If there's something you want us to talk about, something that you think we could have done better, please do.
Gentle corrections.
Gentle corrections. Please share the podcast with your friends. So, if you're on Twitter or whatnot, if you like it, but please retweet it as well. Word of mouth happens. It's invaluable. You can't buy it, and it really helps.
I like Shelley's comment here. Thanks again for an awesome show. You always are cocked.
Yes.
I know it's a typo, but it's a good typo. I like it. I like that typo. You are cocked.
If you like this podcast, you can. I think I said that already.
Yeah, you did.
You can find us for leaving your comments on our Facebook page, True North Eager Beaver, Twitter @TrueEager, or via email, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to subscribe, our pod page is the best way to do that to make sure that we come directly to you. Podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each of those words. And you just put your information in there. And whenever we have something hot off the presses, I'm not sure if it's hot off the presses for audio, but we'll say hot off the presses. We deliver it straight to you and you get it right away.
Yeah, it's for audio.
Our pub chat from October, if you did not watch it live, is now up on podcast. We had to divide it into 2 parts, and it took a little while because we had recorded it on a card that required a lot of processing.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot more work than I thought. So I've got a new way of doing it for the next time. So don't worry. I'll get you the audio much quicker next time. But you can still watch the full 4 hour and 15-minute YouTube video if you'd want to sit down, have a pint, and just enjoy an afternoon with us. And on the 26th, we're going to do it all over again. We're going to do it once a month. Once a month.
Yeah, once a month. And it's a chance to get a different side of us because we do not talk politics on that one.
No politics. No. Yeah. It's music, sports, jokes, travel stories, just stuff you talk about in the pub. No politics, no religion.
Yeah, unless accidentally or tangentially like this, but that is not the objective at all.
It's not the objective. No.
So, but it's out now for your listening pleasure. So please do download it. And like I said, later on today, we'll have the Remembrance Day one with a Kit Hugh. And our last morning nibble is still not up, but Mr. Grizzly's had like a lot to handle.
Busy.
So it is coming. We haven't forgotten it. If you're listening on a podcast,
I think it is actually up. I think it's up.
Oh, it may be up now?
Yeah, I think it's up. I'll check. I'll get it up, even if I'll get it up today. Don't worry if I didn't. I'll get it up today.
No, I don't see it up yet.
No,
Okay.
I'll get it up today.
Haha, Viagra joke. If you if you really like this podcast,
I'll get it up today.
If you really like this podcast, the Eager Beaver, brought to you by Viagra. If you really like this podcast,
no, au naturel, mon ami, au naturel. There's no drugs in this body.
Of course he'd say that. If you really like this podcast and wish to encourage us to do more, we work for tips. Not that kind of tip. We work for actual
just
tips.
the tip.
Please.
Does the carpet match the drapes?
We are
who has a carpet? It's hardwood, baby. This is 2022. Get with it.
We're degenerating.
Yes.
Please feel free to buy a cup of coffee for Mr. Grizzly here, or a mug of hot chocolate for me via our coffee page at ko-fi.com/eager.
You gonna make it?
I don't think so.
Don't choke on it.
Oh, crap. Here you go.
That got me suspended from
You
Twitter.
broke me. Jeez.
I'll just roll the credits. How about that?
I feel like we're Betty and Wilma. You know when they get the giggles and they just
Fred and Barney, maybe.
No, but they don't giggle. And finally, if you'd rather get something for your money, we've got you covered with Eager Beaver t-shirts, sizes small to 3XL. Go to deanglendale.square.site/s/shop to get yourself some fabulous today. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there, so be kind to and gentle with yourself. Kid Elaine's going, poor Douglas. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please help me.
Try and find a moment today to reflect upon that which we were given and we take advantage of and oftentimes take for granted. The freedoms that were fought for by in many cases, our forefathers. In my case, it was my grandfather. And friends of mine that served in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan was not a fight for our freedom, but it was a fight for freedom.
Yes.
Not ours, but for freedom, as was Bosnia. Try and remember those folks who sacrificed more than they should have. And when we post the YouTube video of our interview with Kit Hugh, I get into a few things. We get pretty personal. And I do talk about how some members of our society have been forgotten and thrown away. And some of the topics I discuss might be seen as controversial, but please watch the thing in its entirety. And I think you'll understand where I'm coming from when I say what I say. So please take a few moments today to try and reflect upon that which we take for granted every day and those who fought to give us the right to take it for granted.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, Mr. Grizzly, roll the credits.
The True North Eager Beaver podcast is an Eager Beaver Mr. Grizzly collaboration. Research, story, and guest curation and copy written by the Eager Beaver. Recording, production, editing, and additional research by Mr. Grizzly. Music courtesy of Ben Sound Royalty Free Music. Once again, thank you to our founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss Fee Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing and CanadianTarot.com. And thank you to Pete Jarvis for our artwork. We love it. Kids, we'll talk to you real soon. Bye.
Take care.
Have a great weekend, kids.
To me personally, the last post is a tie to the past. It's a tie to our history. It's a tie to all those that have gone before. And bit by bit, the things that tie us to our past, that tie us to our history, are starting to vanish. So I treat each time that I get the chance to play the last post as a very special occasion, and I'm just so proud to have the chance to play it, because it's part of where we came from.